December 1988, freezing my butt off in some tiny village buried under snow in the middle of nowhere, China. I'm talking real middle of nowhere, the kind of place where even the wind sounds depressed. I was sleeping like a king on my warm brick bed when my little sister went away. 7 years old, runny nose, zero respect for personal boundaries, barged in demanding food. I told her to go eat at Grandma's house. She said no because Annie talks too much. Fair point, but I was not getting up. Then she asked me for 1 mao. One tiny coin. For candy. I said, get lost. Yeah, I know. Brother of the year. This little gremlin disappeared, and I thought I won. Victory nap, here I come. Nope. She came back with a snowball and shoved it straight down my warm back under the blanket. I screamed like someone lit me on fire. My bed looked like I wet myself. She's standing there at the door, laughing her face off, sticking her tongue out like, catch me if you can. I swore revenge, but she vanished like a ninja in a flower jacket. So now I'm up, grumpy, stuffing wood into the stove because if that thing dies, the house becomes a freezer. Then a splinter stabbed my hand. Great. Wonderful. Perfect morning. But then, and here's where it gets weird, everything went black for a second, and suddenly I'm standing under some bridge in a completely different place. It's not even winter anymore. Trees are green, the air is warm, and there's trash everywhere. And right there on the ground, beer bottles. Like 10 of them. Beautiful, green, glorious beer bottles. Now, where I come from, 1 bottle is worth 2 mao at the shop. 10 bottles? That's 2 whole yuan. That's money, baby. I grabbed a busted bag, stuffed them all in, and climbed up to the road to figure out where the heck I was. My jaw hit the floor. Massive highway. Cars I've never seen before zooming past. Skyscrapers everywhere, glass shining in the sun like a sci-fi movie. My brain just blue-screened. Before I could process anything, I thought, I want to go home. And whoosh, I'm back in my kitchen. Stove blazing, face getting roasted, like nothing happened. Was I dreaming? Did I hallucinate? I looked down. The beer bottles were still in my hand. So, that definitely happened. I just teleported somewhere, robbed a bridge of its garbage, and came back. Cool. Totally normal Tuesday. The bottles looked a little different from the ones at our village shop, though. Labels mostly gone, but I could make out Qingdao beer and some phone number starting with 400. I had zero idea what any of that meant. Only one real question on my mind. Will the shop lady accept these or not? Okay, so I couldn't figure out what was different about those mystery bottles, so I did what any reasonable person would do. I grabbed a kitchen knife and scraped all the labels off. Problem solved. No labels, no questions. I tossed them in a wicker basket and headed to the village shop. Walking through the snow in bright sunshine, every step going crunch, crunch, crunch. I'm trying to wrap my head around what just happened. I literally teleported somewhere. Like a magic trick, except the magician is also the confused audience. But I figured, hey, maybe don't rush back to the mystery dimension just yet. Could be dangerous. Let me sell these bottles first, then maybe prepare for interdimensional travel. Priorities. I pushed open the shop door and got hit with a wall of cigarette smoke so thick you could chew it. The whole village was crammed in there. Guys playing cards, arguing about who played what wrong, kids buying firecrackers. Winter in our village means zero farm work, so everybody just piles into this shop like sardines in a very smoky can. Now, the shop owner, second aunt, Zhouya, she's. Look, I'm 17, okay? She's maybe 25, widowed, absolutely gorgeous, and every time she bends over to grab something from the bottom shelf, every man in that room suddenly forgets how cards work. Her husband died a few years back, got crushed by a log while stealing timber from the mountain. Left her alone, no kids. So naturally she's the #1 topic of village gossip and the #1 resident of every guy's imagination, including mine. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not gonna lie about it either. She bent down to find some firecrackers for a kid, and I may have noticed things. I immediately looked away like I was suddenly very interested in the ceiling. Super casual. Totally normal. Little way. What do you need? She smiled and tucked her hair behind her ear. I pointed at my basket, cool as a cucumber. My uncle-in-law brought these beer bottles from town. They're a little different from ours. Can you take them? She glanced at the bottles and shrugged. Sure, the beer delivery guy won't check that closely. How many? 12. Boom. 2 yuan 40 fun, baby. I'm basically a businessman now. Some guy tried to make conversation about my uncle-in-law. Oh, he's rich, right? Lives in town. Heard he's got a bulldozer. And everyone got all excited debating whether anyone could actually afford a bulldozer. For the record, no, my uncle doesn't own it. He just drives one for the agricultural station. But I let them think what they wanted. Felt nice to have relatives people were impressed by. What I didn't know was that the second I walked out, those same people started trash-talking my family. So what if his relatives have money? His family is broke. Yeah. Remember when they tried to arrange a marriage with the Lawn family and got laughed out of the house? Joya apparently shut them down though. Told them to quit gossiping like old ladies. Then some genius said, "Oh, defending the Liu family? Got a thing for little Wei, do ya?" The whole shop exploded laughing. I knew nothing about any of this. I was outside, happily counting my fortune. 240 from the bottles, plus the 180 already in my pocket. Wait, I dug around. The 180 was now just 80 fun. A whole yuan had vanished. I patted myself down like a crazy person. Nothing. Gone. Just evaporated. A whole yuan. That's not pocket change when your family's annual math goes like this. Sell grain, pay grain tax, agricultural tax, head tax, housing tax, water tax, and about 15 other taxes I'm pretty sure someone invented while drunk, have maybe 100 yuan left, pay back the 100 you borrowed for fertilizer, have basically nothing, borrow more money to survive. My mom literally went to her brother's house yesterday to try borrowing 50 yuan so we could, have a new year at all. My little sister needs school fees. I dropped out because we couldn't afford it, and my parents swore they wouldn't let the same thing happen to Wenaway. So every single coin matters. Anyway, I gave up searching and headed to Grandma's house. The second I walked in, Grandma lit up like a Christmas tree. My precious grandson is here. Come, get on the warm bed. Why aren't you wearing a hat? You'll freeze your head off. Grandma's 70-something and still going strong. She had 6 kids, 3 daughters, then finally a son, my dad, then another daughter, then my youngest uncle. She basically kept rolling the dice until she got boys. My dad's her golden child, and I'm the eldest grandson, the only grandson, so in her eyes, I can do no wrong. My aunt, on the other hand, was over there slamming dishes around and muttering. Every day it's like summoning royalty. Can't even come eat without being begged 3 times. She slapped those bowls down so hard, I thought the table might file a complaint. Grandma and Auntie have been at war for years. See, Annie married my youngest uncle about 7 or 8 years ago, and they only have a daughter. In Grandma's world, that means Auntie basically lost the lottery of life. No grandson, no throne. I'm the golden grandson, the only grandson, which means Grandma treats me like I'm made of diamonds and treats Annie like she's made of homework. Auntie muttered something snarky about me needing 3 invitations just to show up for a meal, and Grandma whipped her head around with a death glare that could freeze boiling water. Quit your yapping. Always running your mouth. Then she turned to me, and her face did a complete 180. Instant sunshine. She patted my hand like I just won a Nobel Prize for existing. Don't you worry about her, my precious boy. Someday all of them will be riding your coattails. See? Grandma's got this thing where she keeps spirit guardians at home and does fortune-telling stuff. And she's been saying since I was a baby that I'm destined for greatness. I used to believe it too. I really thought I was the chosen one. Then a few days ago, I got my parents to send a matchmaker to the girl I'd been secretly crushing on for years. Her dad basically laughed the matchmaker out of the house. That kinda shattered my whole "I'm special" fantasy. Let's be real. I'm average-looking, average-smart, dropped out of school, can't hustle, can't scheme, and my only talent is being nice, which, spoiler alert, doesn't pay rent. But then today happened. The teleportation thing. Maybe Grandma wasn't crazy after all. Anyway, I pulled out 2 mao from my pocket, gave one to my little sister Wenhui, one to my uncle's daughter Wenfang. You'd think I handed them gold bars. Both girls instantly turned into tiny hype machines. Best brother ever. Greatest brother in the universe. Brother, Grandma beamed. Annie softened up a little too. Hard to stay grumpy when your kid just got free money. Lunch was the usual gourmet spread. Sauerkraut stewed with potatoes, pickled vegetables, and rice. 5-star dining, village edition. I inhaled 3 massive bowls of rice. I could literally see Annie's face getting darker with every bowl, like a mood ring turning black. Look, I'm a growing teenager. I eat like a vacuum cleaner. It's biology, not a personal attack. But I'm not dumb. I know the deal. I eat at Grandma's house constantly, And even though it's technically Grandma's place, it's really my uncle and Annie running things. So after eating, I jumped up and did all the chores. Washed dishes, swept floors, hauled water, filled the tank. Full servant mode. Anything else need doing, Andy? Grandma puffed on her pipe from the bed, grinning. See? My grandson is the best. Whatever girl marries him is gonna live like a queen. Anyone who rejected him is blind. Annie rolled her eyes so hard, I think she saw her own brain. Yes, yes, your grandson is number one. Nobody compares. I'll just count on him to take care of me when I'm old then. I laughed along, but honestly, Grandma's faith in me was starting to feel heavy. What if I never become anything? That's a lot of belief to disappoint. I headed home, still thinking about that mystery bridge dimension. More bottles equals more money. Simple math. But on the way, I passed the shop and heard my little sister's voice arguing with some boy. I'm not giving you any. I only have 5 candies. 1 for Grandma, 1 for Dad, 1 for Mom, 1 for my brother, and 1 for me. That's it. My heart did a little squeeze. This tiny gremlin who shoved a snowball down my back this morning had spent her entire 1 mao on 5 candies and saved 1 for me. Maybe I won't murder her after all. The boy tried to threaten her. If you don't share, I won't let you watch TV at my house anymore, my sister fired back. Who cares? My dad said we're buying our own TV for New Year. I winced internally. Yeah, that was definitely one of Dad's famous lies. My father has exactly 2 superpowers, bragging and drinking. He could outbrag a politician and outdrink a fish. Sometimes he drinks a whole gin of liquor in the morning just to rinse his mouth before breakfast. Then the boy dropped the bomb. You're lying. My mom says your family is the poorest in the whole village. Your big sister got sold. Your brother got rejected when he tried to find a wife. Your family will never afford a TV. I stopped dead in my tracks. Every word hit like a hammer. My face went hot. My chest felt like someone poured gasoline on it and struck a match. I wanted to storm over there and grab that little punk by his collar. But my feet wouldn't move. Because the worst part, the absolute worst part, was that every single word that kid said was true. You know what hurts the most? Not lies. Not insults. It's hearing the truth about yourself come out of someone else's mouth. Especially a kid who's just repeating what his mother said at the dinner table. So that's what the neighbors really thought of us. Dirt poor. Pathetic. The family that sold their daughter and couldn't even land a marriage proposal. Being talked about behind your back? That's 100 times worse than someone cursing you to your face. Right on cue. AHHH. A scream ripped through the air and snapped me out of my feelings. My stomach dropped. Oh no. The little gremlin struck again. Why did I say again? Because my sister went away is basically the Mike Tyson of our village. She has fought every kid her age. Win or lose doesn't matter. If you tick her off, she's coming at you like a feral cat, scratching, biting, the whole package. Doesn't care if you're bigger, older, or technically an adult. She has 0 fear settings. I sprinted over and found her sitting on top of the neighbor's kid, raining down slaps and scratches like she was trying to win a UFC title. Say it again. Say my family's poor one more time. I'll scratch your face off, you little. And then she dropped a swear word that would make a sailor blush. She's 7. The boy was just lying there crying. I won't say it again. I'm sorry. Please stop. I grabbed her and pulled her off, but she was still swinging. Arms, legs, everything flailing like an angry windmill. It was like trying to hold a live donkey. Let me go? I'm gonna kill him. He surrendered. It's over. Let's go home. I carried her toward Grandma's house, and after a while she calmed down. Then came the question that broke my heart a little. Brother, are we really the poorest family in the village? I scrambled. No way. What about old Jiang? He doesn't even have a house. Lives on the mountain. She blinked. But he has hundreds of fruit trees. Fruit trees are worthless. Sand fruits don't sell for anything. She perked up a bit knowing someone was poorer. Who else is poorer than us? Second who? He doesn't even have a wife or kids. But he has a TV. Dang. This kid has a rebuttal for everything. I pulled out my trump card. Sure, but we have more people. We've got Mom, Dad, Big Sister, you and me. That's a full squad, she pouted. I wish Big Sister never got married. I went quiet. Big Sister's marriage. That's a wound nobody in our family likes touching. I dropped the little warrior off at Grandma's and headed home. Peeked into both rooms. Parents still gone. Good. Coast clear. Our house is simple. Kitchen in the middle, East room where mom, dad, and little sis sleep. West room is mine. If I ever get married and can't afford to build a new house, me and my future wife would just also live in the West room. Romantic, right? I added wood to the stove, then stood there for a second, looking around the kitchen. My eyes landed on the cutting knife. I picked it up. Not for cooking, for protection. I went to my room, locked the door, leaned against the newspaper-covered mud wall, took a deep breath, gripped the knife tight, and thought, take me there. Whoosh. Instantly, I was standing on that same road by the bridge. A car blasted past me so fast and loud I nearly peed my dad's old pants. I dove for cover behind some bushes like a spy in a movie, except way less cool. I started observing. West of the bridge, skyscrapers, traffic, a whole glittering city like something out of a dream. East side, more modest, 5 or 6 story buildings, regular brick houses. But even the poor side here had 0 thatched roof houses. All brick. Every single one. I was doing mental math and getting dizzy. Our mud house cost a few hundred yuan to build. One of these brick houses? Probably thousands. City people are loaded. Then I noticed something on a power pole. A job advertisement. I squinted, moved closer, rubbed my eyes, read it again. Restaurant hiring. Chef, 7,000 to 8,000 yuan per month. Kitchen prep, 4,000 to 5,000 per month. Waitress, 2,500 to 3,000 per month. Dishwasher, 3,000 per month. Room and board included. I think my brain short-circuited. 3,000 yuan a month for washing dishes. Back home, a full-time forestry worker makes less than 100 yuan a month. 3,000 is probably more than our county governor makes. You're telling me I can get rich by making plates clean? My eyes got misty. Not from sadness. From destiny. Dishwashing. That's it. That's my calling. My life's purpose. My dream. I will wash dishes until my fingers turn into prunes. I will wash dishes until the dishes wash me. I will be the greatest dishwasher this world has ever seen. I ripped that advertisement off the pole and stuffed it in my shirt so fast, like it was a winning lottery ticket. Can't let anyone else see this. This dishwashing job is mine. After calming down, I watched the street for a while. People walked by normally. No monsters, no danger. I figured I'd step out and explore. But then I looked down at myself. Faded patched-up army green jacket. Washed-out pants. Liberation, rubber shoes. Every single person on this street was wearing clean, new clothes without a single patch. I looked like a time traveler from the wrong century. Which, I guess I kind of was. Nope. Can't go out like this. I'd get arrested for looking suspicious. I teleported back home and started tearing through every drawer and box like a man possessed. Finally, buried at the bottom of an old trunk, Dad's wedding suit. A dark blue mouse-style outfit, untouched for years. Sacred family relic. I put it on. Little tight, but workable. Fixed my hair in the tiny mirror. Found a pair of cloth shoes without patches, practically luxury items. Dusted them off. Put them on. Checked myself out. Yeah, now I look like a respectable citizen. A man of culture. A future dishwashing champion. Can't be embarrassing myself in the big city. Gotta look sharp. I teleported back under the bridge, took a deep breath, and finally stepped out onto the big road like a man on a mission. A mission to wash dishes. The noblest of callings. I looked around. Nobody was staring, nobody was screaming. Time traveler. So I figured I was good. I decided to walk east because the west side had those massive skyscrapers that made me feel like an ant at a giant convention. The east side had regular brick buildings. Familiar-ish. Comfortable-ish. As I walked deeper into the city, I noticed people kept glancing at me. Some of them were pointing little rectangular boxes at me. I had no idea what those were, but it was freaking me out. I almost bolted like 6 times. But I kept walking because a future dishwashing emperor does not flee. The street signs were wild. I could read every word but understand nothing. Express delivery station, convenience store, Vivapo, massage haircut. What kind of place massages your haircut? Then I passed a restaurant with a help wanted sign on the window. Dishwasher position, but only 2,500 a month. Uffed. Only 2,500? What am I, a peasant? Yes, technically, but a peasant with standards. I already knew there was a 3,000 yuan dishwashing gig out there. That extra 500 is basically an entire year's income back home. I kept walking. Then I saw something that stopped me cold. A shop with televisions in the window. Color TVs, big ones. The screens were enormous and the picture was crystal clear. But the weirdest part, they were thin. Like, impossibly thin. My aunt's TV back home is 18 inches and built like a refrigerator. These things looked like someone ironed a TV flat. And then the news came on. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News. Today is November 10th, 2025. My brain just crashed. Blue screen. System failure. Please reboot. 2025. I'm from 1988. This is 2025. I didn't just teleport to another place. I teleported almost 40 years into the future. I stood there with my mouth hanging open like a broken mailbox. A farming kid from the mountains trying to process time travel. My entire worldview was doing backflips and landing on its face. Hey kid, you buying a TV? The shop owner had spotted me drooling at his merchandise. Huh? Oh, no I'm not. Actually, how much is that one? Why did I ask that? I have 3 yuan and 20 cents to my name. That's 75-inch Xiaomi? Only 2,300 yuan. I nearly choked. Only 2,300? My aunt's tiny 18-inch TV cost 1,500. This thing is like 4 times bigger and cheaper? The future is amazing. Quick mental math. 1 month of dishwashing equals 1 giant TV. 2 months equals 2 TVs. In a year, I could open my own TV store. Got anything cheaper? I asked, because apparently I was now shopping. The owner's eyes lit up like I was a real customer. Sure, we've got some for a few hundred. Come inside and I looked at his spotless shiny floor. Then I looked at my dusty cloth shoes. Then I panicked. Maybe next time. I'll come back with money. Bye. And I literally ran away. Finally, I found it. The Holy Grail. A restaurant called Mountain City Sour Fish, with a sign offering dishwashers 3,000 yuan a month. The place was packed, fancy cars parked outside. Rich people food. This was the spot. I stood outside gathering courage for a solid minute, then pushed the door open. A pretty girl at the entrance immediately pulled the door wider for me and smiled. Welcome. Table for one. I was so flustered by someone being this nice to me that I forgot how talking works. No, I don't eat. I mean, are you hiring? She didn't even blink. Still smiling. Have a seat right here. I'll get the manager. Manager. That must be like the boss. I sat down and tried to look professional, which is hard when you're a teenager in your dad's wedding suit from 1975. The manager came out, looked me over, and I could see his brain sorting me into a category. Farm kid looking for work. Which, fair. My accent alone screams, I've milked a cow before. He asked my name, where I'm from, what job I wanted. I want to wash dishes, I declared with the confidence of a man who has found his purpose. The manager looked at me like I was nuts. Kid, you should be a waiter instead, but I want to. Waiters make more money. Same base pay, but you get tips. Sometimes customers leave bottle caps and stuff. Generous ones tip cash. You could make several hundred extra a month. Several hundred extra? The great dishwashing dream died instantly. It didn't even get a funeral. 1 second it was my life's calling. The next second it was yesterday's news. I am now a waiter. I have always been a waiter. Dishwashing? Never heard of it. What's a dish? Great. You can start today. First month is 2,500, then 3,000 after that. Just give me your ID card and we'll get you registered. ID card. Oh no. The manager asked for my ID card and I felt my soul leave my body. ID card? I don't have an ID card. I have a household registration booklet that says I was born in 1970. If I showed him that, he'd either think I'm a lunatic or the world's worst aging 55-year-old. I don't have an ID. His eyebrow went up like a drawbridge. You don't have ID? You traveled all the way from Heilongjiang without ID? How? I took a car. Okay. Do you have a photo of your ID on your phone? Phone? What's a phone? Luckily, my one remaining brain cell kicked in and stopped me from asking that out loud. I don't have a phone. That was apparently the wrong answer. The manager looked at me like I just told him I don't have lungs. Turns out in 2025, not having a phone is like not having a face. Literally impossible. He decided I was messing with him, stood up furious, called me a time waster, and basically threw me out. So there I stood on the sidewalk. Dream job, gone. No ID, no phone, no clue. But you know what? After feeling sorry for myself for about 30 seconds, I had a breakthrough thought. This is the future. Things work differently here. If I want to make money in 2025, I need to understand 2025 first. Learn the rules. Figure out what a phone is. Blend in. Then get rich. Also, keep collecting beer bottles on the side. A man needs income. So I spent the next hour just wandering around like a tourist from another century, which I literally was. And I figured out what phones are. Those little black rectangles everyone's holding, those are phones. They take pictures. They make calls. And they play TV shows. It's like someone shrunk an entire electronics store into a candy bar. I wanted one so badly my hands were itching. But they definitely cost money I didn't have, so I filed that under future goals. Then I spotted an old grandma struggling to push a tricycle cart loaded with bottles and cardboard. She looked about 70 or 80, tiny and bent over, clothes dusty, but pushing with everything she had. I ran over. "Grandma, let me help you push." She looked at me like I was a unicorn. Apparently, helpful young people are endangered species in 2025. We got to chatting while I pushed her cart, and this old lady turned out to be a goldmine of information. When she heard I couldn't find work without ID, she immediately started listing options like a career counselor. The vegetable market hires unloading workers every morning. 1 or 200 yuan per truck. Construction sites pay 200 a day for smashing rebar. Hourly temp work pays 10 to 20 yuan an hour. 200 yuan a day? Back home, that's like 2 months of. I couldn't even do the math. My calculator brain exploded. Where's this unloading job? I was practically vibrating. Vegetable wholesale market. But you gotta go at midnight. That's when the trucks come in. I'm going tomorrow morning to pick vegetables. I'll take you. Deal. Then we arrived at her place. Nice little courtyard, several rooms, pretty clean. She lived in one small room that was kitchen and bedroom combined. She sat me down and handed me a big red apple. I refused immediately. An apple that size would cost over 1 yuan back home, if you could even find one. I couldn't take an old lady's expensive fruit. But then she said something that rewired my entire brain. "Don't worry, I picked it up from the market. See these little black spots? Totally fine inside. They throw these away every day. They throw away apples?" She kept going. "Oh yes, bananas too. And onions, eggplant, peppers, broccoli. All perfectly good. People throw them out, and we just go pick them up. Happens every day." My jaw was on the floor. In my time, these vegetables cost a fortune in winter. Transportation to our remote village makes everything expensive. And here people are just throwing them on the ground. The future is insane. "Grandma, can I come pick vegetables with you? Please. New Year's coming, and we always spend 10 to 20 yuan on vegetables. If I could just grab some free ones from the future, that's Christmas dinner sorted." She told me I could go to the market right now. They throw out stuff in the afternoon too. I was about to sprint there, but then I remembered. I'd been gone all afternoon. My parents might be home wondering where I disappeared to. I rushed back to the bridge, grabbed my stashed beer bottles, and teleported home. And then something really weird happened. It wasn't dark. It should have been dark. I left around 12:30 and spent hours in the future. Winter evenings get dark by 3:30, but it was still bright out. I ran to check the clock. 12:40, 12:40. I'd spent an entire afternoon in 2025 and only 10 minutes passed at home. My tiny elementary school-educated brain almost melted trying to figure this out. So I did what any scientist would do. I went back, waited exactly 1 hour in 2025, came home, and checked the clock. 2.5 minutes. 1 hour there equals 2.5 minutes here. 1 full day there equals 1 hour here. This is the greatest cheat code in the history of the universe. I can spend weeks in the future, and nobody back home would even notice I left for lunch. But then I did the math the other way, and my stomach dropped. I'd already wasted over 30 minutes at home doing experiments. That means over 12 hours had passed in 2025. The midnight vegetable market job Grandma told me about? Already missed it. I am simultaneously a time travel genius and a complete idiot. So I rushed back to 2025 to check something. And yep, confirmed. Time works both ways. When I'm in the future, time crawls at home. When I'm at home, time crawls in the future. 1 day on either side equals 1 hour on the other. It's like the universe gave me the cheat codes and forgot to include the instruction manual. Since I had basically infinite time now, I headed straight to the vegetable wholesale market. I arrived right as they were closing up, which apparently is prime garbage hour. A woman was dumping an entire crate of vegetables next to the trash. "Excuse me, ma'am, you don't want these anymore?" She looked at me like I was a stray puppy. Nope. Take whatever you want. I called her Annie. Apparently that was a crime, because she was mentally a little fairy princess or something. I found this out never, because she stormed off cursing me under her breath while I was already elbow deep in cucumbers. And oh my God, these cucumbers. Some were just slightly bumped. A few were broken in half. Most were completely fine. Not a single thing wrong with them. Just thrown away. Like trash. Back home, if you drop 1 grain of rice, you pick it up and eat it. Here they're yeeting entire cucumbers into the void because they have a small bruise. The future is absolutely unhinged. Then came the tomatoes, had to dig through some mushy ones, got juice all over my hands, smelled like a salad explosion, but I rescued a bunch of perfect ones. Then more trucks started dumping. Mushrooms, peppers, sweet potatoes, cilantro, green beans, carrots, ginger, oranges, apples, and then I saw them. Big, red, beautiful plums. A whole bag, thrown out because maybe a quarter of them were bad. The rest? Flawless. My little sister has never eaten a plum in winter. Nobody in our village has. Nobody even knew winter plums were a thing. She's going to lose her tiny mind. I was grabbing everything like a man possessed. 2 hands weren't enough. I needed 8 hands. I needed to be an octopus. But somewhere in the middle of my frenzy, this heavy feeling settled in my chest. I remembered being 7 years old, back in 1976. Freak frost hit in July, killed all the crops before they could ripen. That was the hungriest year of my life. We ate frozen baby corn cobs, with the cores, because there was nothing else. My parents said it wasn't even the worst year. The worst year, people were fighting pigs for their feed. And here in 2025, people throw away mountains of perfect food like it's nothing. I didn't know whether to be grateful or heartbroken. So I chose both and kept grabbing vegetables. Now, I wasn't the only scavenger. There were old grandpas and grandmas picking through the piles too. But here's the thing. I'm 17, I'm fast, and I have the hunger of a boy who once ate corn cobs with the core. I was dominating, snatching produce left and right, speed sorting like my life depended on it. The old folks couldn't keep up. One grandpa finally snapped at me. "Kid, you grabbed enough. Can your family even eat all that?" I looked at my haul, then back at him. "We have a lot of family members." "What? A few hundred of them?" My face went red. "Well, if I don't take it, it'll just go to waste." He couldn't argue with that logic, so he huffed away to find a different pile. Soon all the regulars were avoiding me like I was a vegetable-picking apex predator. They literally relocated to other trash zones. Left alone, I went absolutely feral. No competition, no mercy. I picked until the market closed and it got dark. Then I looked at what I collected and my brain stopped working. Several 100 pounds of vegetables and fruit, piled up like a small green mountain. Multiple giant bags and 2 cracked plastic crates, also rescued from the trash, obviously. How? How do I get this home? I can't exactly teleport in front of everyone. Excuse me, folks. Just gonna vanish into thin air with 300 pounds of broccoli. Don't mind me. I was about to start hauling bags toward the bridge one by one when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Little Way? Is that you?" Grandma W. And she had her tricycle cart. I have never been happier to see a 70-year-old woman in my entire life. She took one look at my vegetable mountain and her eyes went wide. "Child, how did you pick this much? Can you even eat all this?" I couldn't stop, Grandma. Everything was so good. "Here, take whatever you want. You don't even need to go pick anything." She looked at me with this warm expression, like I was the sweetest idiot she'd ever met. I could practically read her thoughts. Good kid. Kind heart. Hardworking. Shame he's broke. No girl's gonna marry him. We loaded everything onto her cart and started walking back. I went slow to match her pace because in no way was I letting an old lady walk home alone in the dark. That's not how I was raised. "Where are you staying?" she asked. "Oh, didn't think this through. I just arrived today. Don't have a place yet." I was thinking, maybe that bridge, under it, in the tunnel thing. Look, to me the bridge underpass was perfect. Hidden, private, nobody around to see me appear and disappear like a magic trick. Slap some covers on both ends of a concrete pipe and boom. That's basically a brick house. With a view. Grandma Wu looked at me like I'd just told her I planned to sleep in a dumpster. "You're going to live under a bridge?" I smiled my best. "This is totally fine" smile. "No money yet. Once I start earning, I'll find a real place. She asked if my parents gave me any travel money. And here's where I pulled out my Oscar-worthy performance. I don't have parents. Technically not a lie. In this timeline, I literally have zero relatives. I'm an orphan of time itself. That shut the conversation down real fast. Grandma Wu went quiet and just looked at me with those sad old eyes. We got to her place, and I was about to haul my vegetable empire back to the bridge when she stopped me. Wait, come inside first. She disappeared into her room, came back with a key, walked to the last empty room in her courtyard, and unlocked it. Little room, maybe 10 square meters. Just a bed and a table. Clean though. Live here. Rent is $300 a month. Pay me whenever you have money. She put the key in my hand before I could even argue. $300 a month. That's almost half a year's spending for my family. But also, it's a room. With a door. With walls. A massive upgrade from concrete pipe under a bridge. Plus, and this was the real selling point, I could teleport in private without traumatizing random pedestrians. Then I found out something wild. This entire courtyard belongs to Grandma Wu. 9 rooms, 8 rented out. At minimum 300 each. That's over 2,000 yuan a month in rent. This woman is basically a landlord, and she's out there collecting bottles for fun? Grandma, if you own all these rooms, why are you still picking trash? She just laughed. Can't sit still. Gotta stay moving. It's exercise, exercise. She's doing manual labor recycling as a hobby. Rich people in the future are absolutely wild. I hauled all my vegetables inside and started sorting. The perfect stuff I set aside for Grandma Wu to sell at the morning market. The common vegetables, cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, I'd take home for the family. The weird alien stuff, purple cabbage, avocados, mangoes, I left behind. Never seen those in my life. Can't exactly walk in the door with fruits that don't exist in 1988 and say, oh yeah, found these in the yard. Grandma Wu offered to sell my good vegetables at the morning market while I went to the wholesale market for loading work. She refused to take any cut of the money. What do I need your money for? I can't even spend what I have. Yeah, okay, Miss Secret Real Estate Mogul. My plan, sell the rest at the town market back home. Even damaged vegetables at a few mao per jean would sell instantly in our village where winter veggies cost a fortune. After all that work, I was starving. So I teleported home to eat. And suddenly, I wasn't hungry anymore. What? My stomach was literally growling 10 seconds ago in 2025. Back in 1988, I felt fine. Apparently, my body runs on 2 separate stomach timers. Future stomach and past stomach. They don't sync. My life is getting weirder by the hour. I decided to just take a nap and save my energy for the overnight loading job. But then, the door banged open. Mom was home. She'd gone to my uncle's house to borrow 50 yuan for New Year. One look at her face told me everything. Eyes slightly red, voice flat. She didn't get the money. Mom, did you get the loan? Her hands froze. She quickly looked away and changed the subject. Did you eat lunch? Classic mom deflection. I wasn't fooled, but I played along. She started sighing about how she couldn't even buy me and my sister new clothes for the holiday. I pulled out my best comedy routine. Hey, at least we're not naked, right? We're eating, we're warm. That's already way better than those years when we were crying from hunger. Things are getting better every year. Mom touched my head, eyes watering. With a son like you, I'd be happy eating tree bark for New Year. Hey, I was blushing. Wholesome moment. Beautiful family bonding. Nothing could ruin this. Bang. The door flew open. Neighbor Lady Wang Guiying marched in like a general invading enemy territory, dragging her son Su Erbao behind her. The same kid my sister had beaten into a crying puddle earlier. His face looked like he'd lost a fight with an angry cat. Scratch marks everywhere. Red, swollen, absolutely demolished. Oh boy, here we go. Gui Fong, the neighbor lady screeched. Look at what your daughter did to my son's face. There's not a single spot she didn't scratch. Mom immediately went into damage control mode, apologizing, offering candy, promising to punish my sister. Standard diplomatic protocol. But then Wang Guiying started getting sly. You know, your girl comes to our house every day to watch our TV. And just because my boy said she can't watch anymore, she beat him up. How is that reasonable? Translation: we have a TV and you don't. Your daughter is a charity case. Know your place. She wasn't even being subtle. She was basically saying, your family is so poor your kid has to beg to watch our television, and she should be grateful. Mom heard every layer of that insult. But she just swallowed it. Because what could she say? It was true. We didn't have a TV. We were poor. When you can't afford things, you eat the humiliation with a smile. That's the adult world. You take the hit and shut up. But I'm not an adult. I'm 17 and I've had a very long day. I stepped forward and went nuclear. Sewer Bao, why don't you tell everyone exactly what you said? Which little punk told my sister that our family sold our big sister? That we're poor? That we'll never be able to afford a TV? You think a 7-year-old came up with that on his own? Someone taught him to say that. And if nobody taught him and he just naturally says stuff like that, well, then he's just born rotten. Honestly, if he wasn't so much younger than me, I'd have slapped him myself for having zero home training. Wang Guiying's face went from normal to tomato in about half a second. I'd gone full nuclear, and she was not prepared. She started jabbing her finger at my mom. Is this how you raise your children? And no manners at all. I waved her off like a mosquito. How we raise our kids is none of your business. Maybe go home and work on your boys. Before the older one ends up in handcuffs for stealing chickens, and the younger one gets his face rearranged again for running his mouth. Direct hit. Her older son Su Bao is literally the village's most famous little thief. Everyone knows it. I basically said it to her face. Her jaw was doing that thing where it opens and closes, but no words come out. Like a fish on dry land. Mom smacked me on the back. Shut up. Adults are talking. But it was the weakest slap in human history. Didn't even knock the dust off my jacket. She was basically high-fiving me in disguise. Wang Guiying was shaking with rage now. So that's how it is? After all these years of being neighbors? I hit her with the finishing move. Neighbors? Let's talk about being neighbors. Your family is too lazy to grow a garden. You come pick our vegetables every year. Spring planting, fall harvest, we help you every time. You see us fishing, you come running over with a bowl. You even eat our soybean paste. And after all that, my little sister watches your TV for a few minutes, and you treat her like a beggar? You say you never talk trash about us. Swear on it then. Swear that if you did, your whole family dies. Go ahead. Swear. She did not swear. Shocking. Fine. From now on, we don't know each other. She grabbed her kid and stormed out. Mom pointed the fire poker at me in her best. I'm furious. Impression. Get Tio your room. Then she chased after Wang Guiying. Guiying, wait. Don't be mad at him. He's just a kid. She came back a few minutes later and crumpled down by the stove, crying quietly. I knew it wasn't just about the neighbor fight. It was about Big Sister. See, here's the family wound nobody talks about. A few years back, Dad went up the mountain to cut timber illegally. Half the village does it in winter, selling logs to lumber mills. A log rolled and crushed him. He needed surgery. We sold our horse. Still not enough money. Right at that moment, a guy named Chun, limping Chun, from the next village, offered 2,000 yuan to marry my big sister Wenwan. Chun wasn't a bad person actually. Smart guy, decent family, treated people fairly. His only problem was a bad leg, which is why nobody would marry him. And 2,000 yuan was a fortune nobody else could match. Mom said no. But Big Sister took the money herself and paid the hospital directly. Because what else do you do when it's your dad's life? Dad found out after he recovered, had a massive fight with Mom, and basically fell apart. Started drinking nonstop. The whole family's been carrying that guilt ever since. So when the neighbors whisper, they sold their daughter. Yeah, that's why it cuts so deep. I walked over to Mom. Don't listen to those people. Our life is going to get better. I promise. She wiped her eyes and smiled. I'm not crying. Just got something in my eye. My boy is growing up so smart. That's why I'm happy. Sure, Mom. Allergies. In December. On a snow day. Inside. Then Dad walked in with my sister, carrying a bucket of mudfish, loaches, and little frogs from ice fishing. He took one look at Mom's red eyes and frowned. What happened? Who made you cry? I'll go deal with them. Mom ignored him completely. Turned straight to the real criminal. Wenhui, did you fight someone again today? The little gremlin hid behind Dad like he was a human shield. He started it. He said mean things first. The neighbor came to our house to complain. And now you can't watch their TV anymore. Where are you going to watch cartoons now? Little sister puffed up like an angry balloon. I don't care. Dad said we're buying our own TV for New Year. Mom slowly turned her death glare toward Dad. Oh, you said that? Go ahead then. Buy it. I won't stop you. Dad's confident face crumbled instantly. He put on his best apologetic grin. Well, I heard Eru is selling his old 14-inch black and white TV. Only 50 yuan. 50 yuan. Mom slammed the fire poker down so hard sparks flew. Are we skipping New Year? Are we not paying your daughter's school fees? We buy a TV and then the whole family starves? Dad immediately surrendered and turned to my sister with a helpless shrug. Sorry, kiddo. Your mom says no. The little warrior princess who'd just beaten a boy senseless without a single tear, her lip started trembling. She'd already bragged to the whole neighborhood about getting a TV. Her reputation as the toughest kid in East Valley was at stake. Without that TV, she'd be a laughingstock. The tears came flooding. I couldn't take it. I kneeled down, looked her in the eye, and said the dumbest, most reckless thing I've ever said in my life. Stop crying. Mom and Dad won't buy it. Fine. Your brother will buy it. I promise. Tomorrow, I'm bringing home a TV. Little sister looked at me with her big watery eyes. Really? You'll really buy a TV? I nodded with maximum sincerity. Tomorrow. Guaranteed. I don't believe you. Fair. My parents can't afford a TV and I have 3 yuan to my name. My credibility was not exactly rock solid. Fine, don't believe me. But I also have something delicious. Guess you don't want any of that either. Her ears perked up like a dog hearing a treat bag. What is it? What is it? I went to my room, came back with a cloth bundle, and pulled out a big, shiny, red apple. Waved it in front of her face like a hypnotist. Wah, a big apple. It's huge. Give me, give me, give me. Mom and Dad were staring too. This kind of apple basically doesn't exist in our village. It was like I'd pulled out a diamond. Where did you get this? Mom's eyes were the size of the apple itself. Time for my carefully prepared lie. I opened the whole bundle. Cucumbers, peppers, eggplant, tomatoes, ginger, celery, oranges. So my old classmate from the forestry station? His family sells vegetables. Their truck got stuck in a ditch near our village road today, and I helped dig it out. His dad tried to pay me. Obviously, I said no. We're classmates. So he gave me all these slightly damaged vegetables instead. Said they couldn't sell them anyway. I figured refusing would be rude, so Dad nodded approvingly. Good boy. Even if it was a stranger, we don't take money for helping people. But next time, we should give them something back. That's how decent folks do it. Already planned it, Dad. I'll bring them some of those mudfish you caught today when I go to town tomorrow. Smooth. Lie secured. Parents, proud. I'm basically a con artist prodigy. Mom started unpacking the vegetables like a kid on Christmas morning. Look at these cucumbers. Still got the little spines on them. This tiny bruise is nothing. You can't even buy cucumbers this fresh around here. And these peppers, there's nothing wrong with them at all. And garlic? Garlic is so expensive right now. This saves us the whole New Year grocery budget. She was getting more excited with every vegetable. Meanwhile, I was standing there feeling this weird twist in my stomach. If she knew these were all garbage that 2025 people threw away like trash, I don't know if she'd be happy or heartbroken. Then she got to the bananas and oranges and locked everything in the cabinet like it was government gold reserves. Little sister immediately protested. Mom, I want a banana. Just one. No? These are for New Year. You already got an apple. Go away. My sister had never eaten a banana in her life. She was staring at that cabinet like it contained the meaning of existence. I've never even tasted one. Just one little bite. I stepped in as backup. Mom, bananas go bad fast. My classmate told me they won't last. If we don't eat them now, they'll be rotten in 2 days. Mom frowned. They go bad? Yeah, they really can't be stored. She pulled them out like it physically hurt her. Fine. Eat them. 8 bananas total. For our family. For Grandma's house. I peeled one for my sister. She was about to bite through the peel, and she took her first ever bite of banana. Her eyes closed. Her face melted into pure bliss. A smile so big you could see every tooth. Bananas are so good. Brother, you try. She shoved the drooly, half-chewed banana toward my mouth. I'm good. You eat it. Then something flickered in her eyes. Some evil little thought. She grabbed her banana and bolted out the door. Where are you going? Be right back. I shrugged and grabbed 4 bananas to bring to Grandma's house. On the way out, I turned the corner, and there she was, standing at the fence between our yard and the neighbors, holding her banana up like a trophy. And there was Sue Erbao on the other side, the same kid she'd beaten bloody an hour ago. Hey Erbao, have you ever eaten a banana? Look, this is a banana. It's so sweet. She took a massive bite and moaned like it was the greatest thing ever created. So good. So sweet and yummy. In our part of the world, in 1988, bananas are basically a mythical fruit. Regular people have never even seen one in real life. Only top government officials eat bananas. This was weapons-grade flex. Erbao's mouth was literally watering. A visible stream of drool. Wenhui, can I have one bite? Just one? I'll let you watch TV every day forever. Can I? Can I just lick it? Just once? Wang Guiying came outside, saw her son begging to lick my sister's banana, and nearly had a stroke. She grabbed him and dragged him inside while he screamed and cried and kicked and threw himself on the ground demanding banana. Their house sounded like a zoo during feeding time. I watched the whole thing, shaking my head, but also trying very hard not to laugh. This 7-year-old just executed a more devastating revenge than anything I could have planned. I patted her head. Okay, General. Mission accomplished. Let's go. It's cold. She grinned, victorious. I'm coming to Grandma's house with you. Then let's go. Meanwhile, over at the neighbor's house, things were going exactly how you'd expect. Su Debao, the older brother, village's most famous delinquent, dragged himself home demanding food because apparently terrorizing the neighborhood works up an appetite. His mom took one look at him and exploded. All you do is eat. Did you even notice your little brother's face looks like a cat used it as a scratching post? Debao glanced at Erbao. Kid looked rough. Swollen eyes, red scratches everywhere, the whole works. My 7-year-old sister did that. I'd be impressed if I wasn't slightly terrified of her myself. Who did this? Debao asked, like he didn't already know. The little monster next door? Who else? Debao frowned. Mom, I can't beat up a little girl. People would laugh at me forever. Even the village thief has standards, apparently. Forget the girl. Beat up her brother. He cursed me out today right to my face. Teach him a lesson so their whole family has a miserable new year. Debao shrugged. Sure, I'll beat him up tomorrow. Now can I please eat? He wasn't worried at all. He's 2 years older than me. In his mind, this was going to be easy. Spoiler alert, I also didn't know about this plan yet. And honestly, even if I did, I wouldn't care. Growing up in this village, fighting is basically a sport. Everyone's been throwing hands since kindergarten. Anyway, my sister and I headed to Grandma's house with the bananas. The second we entered the yard, little Wenhui started screaming like a tiny town crier. Grandma, I brought you something delicious. She sprinted inside so fast the door almost flew off its hinges. My aunt watched in horror, genuinely concerned about the structural integrity of the doorframe. Easy there, little ancestor. Didn't you just go home? You're back already. Auntie was mentally calculating how much extra rice to cook. After years of me freeloading, she's basically developed a sixth sense for incoming moochers. I pulled out the bananas and placed them on the bed. The room went dead silent. You'd think I'd pulled out a live grenade. Are those bananas? Someone whispered. Grandma's face lit up like sunrise. My wonderful grandson brought bananas. This makes me happier than eating anything myself. The neighbor lady visiting said I was such a thoughtful young man and would definitely have no trouble finding a wife. Grandma smiled but didn't respond. In her mind, no woman on earth deserves me. She was already scheming about writing letters to my aunts in other provinces, asking them to send money so I could get married. Apparently turning 18 means it's wedding season whether you like it or not. My aunt picked up a banana and sniffed it like it was an exotic artifact. So this is a banana. Smells nice. Looks just like the ones on TV. Uncle gave her a disgusted look. Put that away. You look ridiculous. Oh, please. Like you've ever seen a banana before, Mr. Worldly. I haven't, but at least I'm not sniffing it like a dog. Classic Uncle and Annie comedy hour. I told Grandma to eat the bananas soon before they went bad, said goodnight, and headed home. That evening, I went to bed early because tomorrow was a big day. I was going to town, and I had plans. Secret, time-traveling, vegetable-selling plans. Mom woke me up before dawn. Get up. Eat fast. The cart won't wait. Our village is 5 kilometers from town. In summer, you can walk it. In winter, with ice everywhere and clothes so thick you can barely move, walking is basically an extreme sport. So everyone hitches rides on horse carts. If someone from a nearby village passes by with room, they'll let you hop on. It's like ancient Uber, except the driver is a horse and there's no rating system. I bundled up in my thickest padded pants, the kind with suspenders, because sitting on a horse cart for an hour in negative whatever temperature will freeze parts of your body you didn't know could freeze. After breakfast, I grabbed the bucket of mudfish and a set of old thin clothes. But before heading to the road, I made a quick detour to somewhere private, teleported to 2025, dropped off the fish and clothes in my rented room. The mudfish were a gift for Grandma Wu, and the clothes were for wearing in the future where people don't dress like it's the Cultural Revolution. Then zapped back to 1988. At the main road, several people were already waiting for a ride. All villagers I knew. And then my heart did a backflip. Standing right there, in the cold morning air, looking absolutely radiant, was Zoya, the shop owner, the village beauty, my dream woman, the star of my first ever inappropriate dream. My second aunt, who I am absolutely not supposed to have feelings for. My mouth went dry. My palms went sweaty. I suddenly forgot how standing works. Second aunt, you're going to town too? Brilliant. Groundbreaking conversation. She's standing at the road waiting for a cart to town. No. Genius. She's waiting for a spaceship to Mars. She smiled at me with those big, sparkly eyes. Yep. Are you going alone? Your parents aren't coming. Her smile could melt permafrost. I felt my face heating up despite it being approximately minus 30 degrees outside. Impressive, really. I should be studied by scientists. They're going on the 27th. I'm just running some errands. Then the middle-aged women standing nearby smelled blood in the water. One of them cackled. Oh my, little Wei is running errands all by himself now? Our boy is all grown up, her friend immediately piled on. Well, of course. He's 18 now, isn't he? Old enough to be finding a wife and doing adult errands. If you know what I mean. They all burst out laughing. Zoya covered her mouth and giggled too, looking at me with this teasing sparkle in her eyes. My face was now hot enough to cook eggs on. I was absolutely certain these ladies were not talking about buying groceries. The word, errands, had somehow become the dirtiest word in the Chinese language, and every woman over 40 was in on the joke. I stood there, red as a tomato, praying for the horse cart to arrive before these women destroyed what was left of my dignity. Zoya kept smiling. The aunties kept cackling. And somewhere in the distance, a horse was taking its sweet, sweet time. A pack of middle-aged women teasing a teenage boy about marriage is apparently the peak of rural entertainment, because these ladies were having the time of their lives making me blush. Thankfully, 2 horse carts showed up before they could finish destroying me. We split into 2 groups. My cart had 5 people. The driver Zhang Laolu, Zoya, my gorgeous dream woman, a middle-aged lady named Song Xiaolan, and this guy called Su Laosan. Now, Su Laosan and my dad have some kind of ancient beef. I don't even know the details, but if Dad hates him, I hate him too. Family loyalty is simple like that. If Zoya wasn't on this cart, I would have picked the other one just to avoid breathing the same air as this clown. The sunrise was painting the snowy landscape gold and red like something from a painting. Nobody cared. When you see it every day, beauty becomes wallpaper. The ladies started chatting about me again. Song Xiaolan asked if I needed help finding a wife. Before I could answer, Su Laosan let out this disgusting little laugh. Find a wife? With what? His family's so poor they can't even afford to take a decent dump. What girl would be blind enough to marry into that? He thought I was just some harmless kid who'd sit there and take it. He thought wrong. Are you part dog? Always sniffing around my family's toilet? What? We're not producing enough for you to eat. No wonder your breath smells like that. You were raised on it. If you can't speak like a human being, shut your mouth before everyone figures out your mother was a streetwalker who forgot to teach you manners. Dead. Silence. Every single person on both carts froze. The horse probably froze. Somewhere in the forest, a rabbit stopped mid-hop. Nobody expected me to go from 0 to thermonuclear in half a second. The people on the other cart were literally craning their necks to watch. I could practically hear their thoughts. This quiet kid just turned into a verbal flamethrower. Su Laosan's eyes went red with rage. He lunged at me screaming death threats. Big mistake. I'd been ready since his first word. I grabbed the cart railing and launched a flying 2-footed kick straight into his chest. He went down, slipped on the icy road, and landed flat on his back like a starfish. Before he could get up, I kicked him right in the face. Blood poured from his nose, stars in his eyes. Then I just started stomping him while he rolled around in the snow like a human snowball. Every kick came with commentary. Talk more. Keep running your mouth. Say something else about my family. He kept trying to stand up, but the ice was working for me like a tag team partner. Every time he got halfway up, slip, back down. and my foot was already there waiting. Finally, people pulled me off. I was about to curse at whoever was holding me when I turned around and saw it was Joya. Her arms were wrapped around mine, pulling me back. Her soft body pressed against me as she struggled to restrain my rage. Stop fighting. You'll seriously hurt him. Then you have to pay his medical bills. Listen to your second aunt. My anger evaporated instantly. But did I stop struggling? Absolutely not. I squirmed and twisted just enough to stay in her arms a little longer. This was the closest I'd ever been to her. A man has to seize his opportunities. Let me go, second aunt. Forget medical bills. I'll buy him a coffin and pay for the funeral. She called Song Xiaolan for backup, and the two of them finally wrestled me back onto the cart. They loaded Su Laosan onto the other cart like a sack of bleeding potatoes. His eyes were shooting daggers at me. I caught him staring. What are you looking at? Want another round? Keep talking about how I can't find a wife. Watch me get your daughter pregnant. Everyone on both carts nearly choked trying not to laugh. His daughter Su Lily actually had a crush on me in elementary school. I never liked her back because I was too busy pining for Lan Chunyan. But threatening her dad with it? Chef's kiss. Su Laosan tried to jump up and attack again, but people held him down. The drivers separated the carts fast. One sped up, one slowed down. And within minutes we couldn't even see each other anymore. Then I hopped off the cart. Everyone panicked thinking I was going for round two. Joya grabbed my arm. What are you doing? Relax. My feet are cold. Need to jog. At -40 degrees, sitting still on a cart is basically volunteering for frostbite. You have to hop off and run alongside it periodically. Standard winter transportation protocol. Joya sighed with relief. You scared me. I thought you were going to fight again. I'm very peaceful normally, I said, with blood still on my shoe. She rolled her eyes so beautifully. Peaceful? I've learned something today. The quiet ones are always the most dangerous. We arrived in town, and I immediately started scouting locations to sell vegetables. Our town is tiny, one commercial street, under 1,000 meters, two tall buildings that are honestly just 2 stories each. The whole place is basically a strip mall with horse parking. I checked vegetable prices at the only shop selling fresh produce. Cucumbers, peppers, eggplant, celery, all 2.5 yuan per jean. That's expensive. Fruit selection was pathetic. Tiny sour apples and frozen pears. That's it. Welcome to rural winter shopping. My heart was doing backflips. The vegetables I picked from the garbage in 2025 would sell for a fortune here. I found a hidden alley, teleported to 2025, borrowed Grandma Wu's scale and tricycle, loaded up my produce, then zapped everything back to 1988. The temperature difference nearly killed me. Went from comfortable autumn to Arctic death trap in one blink. I threw on my padded jacket and pushed the cart to the front of the second store. I opened up the bags. Fresh green vegetables sitting on white snow, bright and colorful in a world that had been nothing but black and white for months. Like dropping a color TV into a silent film. Joya was inside the store buying inventory. She'd see me when she came out. I positioned my stall with surgical precision, maximum visibility from the store entrance. Business strategy? Sure. But also, I wanted my crush to watch me being a successful businessman. A man who kicks bullies and sells cucumbers. What's not to love? For my first day as a vegetable tycoon, I kept things simple. Peppers, cucumbers, eggplant, celery, green beans, tomatoes, plus some apples and oranges. Nothing weird, nothing exotic. Our corner of the Northeast has never seen half the vegetables that exist in 2025. If I showed up with avocados, people would call the police thinking I was selling alien eggs. I parked the tricycle, opened the bags, and waited. My heart was pounding like I was about to take a final exam. First time selling anything in my life. What if nobody wants damaged vegetables? What if they laugh at me? What if this whole plan was stupid? Then, within literally 30 seconds, an old man wandered over and bent down to inspect my cucumbers. How much for these, young man? My voice cracked slightly, but I powered through. These got a little bump during transport, so I'm selling them cheap. 1 yuan per jean. The regular shop sells cucumbers for 2.5 yuan per jean. I was practically giving them away. But hey, zero cost means any price is pure profit. The old man looked skeptical, so I grabbed a cucumber and snapped it clean in half right in front of him. Fresh, crispy, perfect inside. The smell of cucumber filled the cold air like nature's perfume. He nodded. Give me 3. I weighed them. 1 jean and 1 liang. But since you're my first customer, just give me 1 yuan. His face lit up like I'd handed him a gift. Then he bought peppers too. 1 yuan 70 total. My first ever sale. My hands were shaking when I took his money. Not from cold. From pure adrenaline. I just made more money in 30 seconds than picking bottles all day. Then came the difficult customer. A middle-aged auntie who treated my vegetable stand like a crime scene investigation. She picked up every single eggplant, examined it from 9 angles, and declared them all unacceptable. This eggplant is ruined. Look at these spots. You need to lower your price. Ma'am, those are just surface marks. The inside is completely fine. Look, and like an idiot, I broke the eggplant open to prove my point. She stared at the perfectly white interior, then stared at me, then said the most incredible thing. Why did you break a perfectly good eggplant? What a waste. Tell you what, I'll buy a bunch of stuff, and you give me this broken eggplant for free. I stood there trying to process the sheer audacity. She complained about the eggplant. I proved it was fine by opening it, and now she wants it free because I opened it. This woman could negotiate the sun into setting at noon. But I remembered what wise people say. Making money is hard and eating garbage is also hard. You pick your struggles. If I can't handle this, Andy, I can't handle business. So I smiled and said sure, buy 5 yuan worth and the eggplant is yours. She ended up buying 13 yuan worth of vegetables. 13. That's almost what my family makes in a week of farming. For vegetables, I literally picked out of a trash pile in the future. The profit margin on this operation is technically infinite since my costs are 0. But here's where things got magical. That picky auntie took forever haggling, which meant people started gathering around my stand wondering what all the fuss was about. And once a few people gathered, more people came to see why those people were gathered. It's like human magnets. The crowd attracted a bigger crowd, which attracted an even bigger crowd. Suddenly, I had a mob around my tricycle. Hands everywhere. People shoving money at me. Voices overlapping from every direction. How much for apples? 1 yuan per gene. And oranges, also 1 yuan. Weigh these cucumbers. I want those 2 tomatoes. Here's my money. What about the celery? I was drowning. Sweating in negative 30-degree weather. My brain couldn't keep up. Weigh this, calculate that, make change, answer questions, all at the same time. I've never experienced anything like it. Back home, I'm just a dropout farm kid who catches fish. Now I'm running a one-man farmer's market, and people are fighting to give me their money. The thing about our era is there's zero entertainment. No TV for most families, no games, nothing to do in winter except gossip and play cards. So when something unusual happens in town, like a teenager selling cheap fresh vegetables, the entire population shows up to watch. 3 layers of people deep around my little cart. I couldn't even see the street anymore. Meanwhile, inside the second store, Zoya, my beautiful dream woman, had finished buying her shop inventory in under 30 minutes. She stepped outside planning to head to the food store next, and immediately noticed the enormous crowd in front of the building. Being a naturally curious person and also, a human being who sees 50 people clustered together, she walked over to investigate. She pushed through the crowd expecting to find a street performer or maybe a fight. Instead, she found vegetables. 2 women passed her on their way out, clutching bags of produce and looking absolutely thrilled with themselves. These vegetables are so cheap. They've got little bumps, but they taste perfectly fine. I know. My bill was 3 yuan 20, and that sweet boy only charged me 3. Didn't even want the extra 20 fun. He's clearly terrible at business. Doesn't charge for small change at all. Zoya's ears perked up. Cheap fresh vegetables? In the dead of winter? That's like finding treasure. She'd been eating nothing but sauerkraut, cabbage, and potatoes for months. Everyone had. Fresh greens in December are basically luxury items up here. And unlike most families in the village, Zoya lives alone. No husband to provide, no family support. Running her little shop keeps her fed, but fresh winter vegetables are still a splurge she rarely makes. She squeezed through the crowd, fighting her way to the front, already planning what to buy. The vegetables looked exactly as advertised, slightly damaged on the outside, perfectly edible on the inside. Gorgeous green cucumbers, bright red tomatoes, crisp celery. Her mouth was probably watering. She opened her mouth to ask about prices. Then she looked up at the seller and froze. Little way, Zoya was staring at me like I'd just materialized out of thin air. Which, technically, I kind of had, just not in front of her. I was drowning in customers, sweating, panicking, trying to weigh 5 things at once while people shoved money at me from every direction. So when I heard her voice, I didn't even think about being smooth or cool. "Second aunt, get over here and help me. I can't do this alone." She jumped right in, bless her beautiful heart. No questions, no hesitation. Just started weighing vegetables, collecting money, making change. We became a two-person vegetable selling machine. Her on one side, me on the other. Like we'd been business partners for years instead of two people whose entire relationship was based on me staring at her while she bent over to find firecrackers. 1 hour later, every single vegetable was gone. Several hundred gene of produce, completely sold out. Not a single cucumber remained. The bags were empty. The tricycle was bare. I pulled off my hat and steam was literally rising from my head like a human chimney. Joya immediately went into mom mode. "Put your hat back on. You'll catch a cold." I grinned at her. "Today was amazing. You saved me back there. Come on, I'm taking you to a restaurant." My treat, she tried to refuse. "Don't waste money on restaurants." But I was already grabbing her hand and pulling her toward the nearest eatery. I had hundreds of yuan in my pocket. I was basically a millionaire by village standards. Nothing could stop me. I was invincible. I was a vegetable king. Stop pulling me," Joya hissed, yanking her hand back. "I'm a widow. If someone sees us holding hands in the middle of the street, my reputation is finished. I'll go. Just stop dragging me." Fair point. I released her immediately and tried to look casual. Two totally normal people walking to lunch. Nothing to see here, everyone. Just a teenager and his definitely not crush going to eat buns platonically. We ducked into a small eatery, wooden door, thick cloth curtain, warm air mixed with the smell of dumplings and stew. Cozy little place with 4 rickety tables. We sat in the back corner like two people absolutely not on a date. "Just get me a bowl of tofu pudding," she said. Tofu pudding. 1 bowl. For the woman who just spent an hour saving my entire business operation. Absolutely not. I marched to the counter and ordered 10 meat buns, 2 bowls of tofu pudding, and a plate of stir-fried cabbage with pork. Total, 5 yuan 60 fun. A feast by our standards. Back home, this would feed a family for days. Joya nearly fell off her chair. "Why did you order so much?" "Take it back. 2 buns and some pudding is plenty." "Already paid," I said, sitting down with maximum swagger. Today was a good day. We earned it. Even if you earn money, you can't blow it like this. And I'm paying. I'm the adult here. I can't let a child treat me to lunch. There it was. The word that stabbed me right in the ego. Child. My smile dropped about 3 notches. I'm not a child. I'm an adult. Guys in my class are already married with kids. That was true, actually. In our area, getting married at 17 or 18 was completely normal. Some kids tied the knot at 16. By village math, I was practically middle-aged. Something flickered in Joya's eyes. She softened slightly. Fine. You're not a child. But tell me, how did you end up selling vegetables in town? Where did you even get all that produce? I prepared my cover story. New Year's coming. Everyone needs fresh greens. So I bought some damaged vegetables cheap and figured I'd try selling them at a lower price. I haven't told my parents yet. Wanted to see if it worked first. She looked genuinely impressed. You've got serious guts. That's a lot of risk for someone your age. What if you'd lost money? I shrugged like a seasoned businessman. Can't make money without taking risks. But I played it safe. Only bought the cheap damaged stuff. Figured if I priced it low, people would buy. Didn't expect them to go completely insane though. Joya was staring at me differently now. Not like a kid she watched grow up. More like she was seeing me for the first time. This quiet boy who always sneaked glances at her in the shop had suddenly revealed himself to be someone with brains and courage and actual business instincts. She ran her own shop, so she understood commerce. She knew farming would never make anyone rich. She herself was secretly saving money to open a clothing store in town someday. She had ambition burning inside her, and I think she recognized the same fire in me. So how much did you actually make? Was it good money? Now here was a dilemma. I liked Joya a lot, but I also liked a lot of girls, and just because my heart raced around her didn't mean hers did the same for me. Telling her I'd just made several hundred yuan selling garbage vegetables from the future seemed like information that could cause problems. So I played dumb. Not much. Just pocket change. Hard work for small money. She narrowed her eyes. Then she reached out and poked my forehead with her finger. Her soft, white, perfect finger. touching my actual forehead. Contact. Physical contact. With Joya. You little ungrateful thing. I sweated through my clothes helping you. And you're lying to my face? If you barely made anything, why are you spending 5 yuan on lunch like it's nothing? Her finger was still close to my face. Her eyes were sparkling with playful annoyance. She smelled like winter air and soap. My brain stopped functioning entirely. Blood rushed to my head. My heart hammered so loud I was sure she could hear it. And then my hand moved on its own. I grabbed her hand, just reached out and held it. Her small, soft, warm hand wrapped in my rough farmer's fingers. She froze completely, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. I don't think anyone had touched her like that since her husband died. She didn't pull away. She just sat there, stunned, looking at our hands together on that rickety table. My mouth opened, and the words fell out before my brain could review them. You have to keep this secret. Don't tell anyone I was selling vegetables. I'd almost called her second aunt again. But something in my brain screamed a last-second warning. You are literally holding this woman's hand right now. You cannot call her Auntie while doing that. That's weird. That's deeply, fundamentally weird. So I just left the sentence hanging. No name, no title, just two people in a tiny restaurant, holding hands over pork buns, pretending this was normal. It was not normal. It was the greatest moment of my entire life. The food arrived, and Joya yanked her hand back like she'd touched a hot stove. But me? My hand was trembling. Not from fear. From pure, electric, teenage joy. I had held Joya's hand. I, Lu Wei, village dropout, professional vegetable scavenger, had touched the hand of the most beautiful woman in our entire mountain region. This moment was worth more than every yuan I'd made today. She played it cool, pretending nothing happened. You know, selling vegetables in town isn't exactly a secret. People will find out eventually. Besides, you're earning honest money. What's to hide? She had a point. Yeah, I guess I'll have to tell my parents. And once Dad knows, the entire village will know before sunset. I sighed dramatically. She laughed because she knew exactly what I meant. My father's nickname is literally Lou the Big Bluffer. The man could turn a sneeze into a 3-act drama. If he found out his son made money selling vegetables, he'd announce it to every living creature within a 50-mile radius. Trees included. We ate together, chatting casually, both pretending the hand-holding thing was a shared hallucination. But something had shifted between us. I could feel it. She could feel it. I never called her second aunt again. Not once. That title was officially retired. Buried. Gone. After lunch, I packed up the leftover buns for her, bought some for myself, and we split up. She went to buy snacks for her shop. I needed to return the tricycle and prepare tomorrow's vegetables. We agreed to meet at the food store so I could help carry her stuff. Then, right before leaving, my hand moved on its own again. I grabbed her hand and gave it a squeeze. Not a gentle one either. A full-power farmer's grip. Then I turned and ran before she could react. Behind me, I heard her yelping. You little brat. Why'd you squeeze so hard? That hurt. I was already gone, pushing my tricycle down the street, humming a song, grinning like an absolute fool. The freezing winter air tasted like candy. Everything was beautiful. The snow was beautiful. The sky was beautiful. My empty tricycle was beautiful. I found a deserted spot, teleported to 2025 with my cart, changed out of my padded winter clothes into regular ones, and spent a while practicing how to ride the tricycle. Turns out 3-wheeled vehicles are deceptively tricky. Unlike bikes that just fall over when you mess up, tricycles stay upright, but drift sideways like drunk shopping carts. I nearly drove into a ditch 4 separate times before getting the hang of it. Still didn't dare ride it on actual roads, though. Too many cars in 2025. I'd survived time travel only to get flattened by a delivery truck. Back at Grandma Wu's, I returned the cart and scale. She saw the empty tricycle and gasped. Where's all the vegetables? Did you throw them away? Sold them? Some guy offered 50 yuan for everything, so I took it. I lied about the amount, obviously. Couldn't tell a sweet old lady I'd made almost 300 yuan selling her garbage vegetables in a different timeline. She was delighted anyway. 50 yuan for free vegetables? Not bad at all. Come eat dinner. I brought her meat buns from 1988. Still hot, still steaming. She scolded me for spending money, but took them happily. We ate together, this wonderful warm little dinner, and she gave me her late husband's bedding so I wouldn't sleep on a bare wooden bed. When she handed me the quilts, her eyes got misty. After someone dies, Nobody wants their things. Everyone acts like the belongings are cursed. I didn't know what to say, so I changed the subject by bringing out the bucket of mudfish. She took one look and nearly fainted. These sell for 20 to 30 yuan per jean at the market. What? Back home, they're basically worthless. 2 mao per jean, and nobody even wants them because cooking mudfish requires too much oil. I've been catching these things my whole life thinking they were junk food for poor people. Turns out in 2025, they're a delicacy. She insisted on selling them at the morning market. I insisted they were a gift. She won the argument because she's 70-something and impossible to out-stubborn. That night, alone in my room, I pulled out every crumpled bill from my jacket and started counting. 10 yuan notes, 5 yuan notes, 2 yuan notes, 1 yuan notes, 5 mao coins, 2 mao coins. Total, 267 yuan and 40 fun. I sat there grinning like a maniac. In one day, I'd made more money than my family saves in an entire year of farming. After paying all those insane taxes on our grain harvest, we're lucky to have 100 yuan left. I'd nearly tripled that in a single afternoon selling vegetables that cost me exactly nothing. My sister's TV was basically guaranteed. Actually, forget the black and white TV. Maybe I should buy a color TV. Go big or go home. If little Wenhui is going to flex on Su or Bao, she should do it in full color. Lying in bed, I started dreaming big. Really big. I'd build a brick house in town. No, a building. 5 or 6 stories tall. Then I'd marry multiple wives and put each one on a different floor. Monday, first floor wife. Tuesday, second floor wife. A whole rotation system. I'd have so many sons they could form their own football team. These are totally reasonable goals for a time-traveling vegetable merchant. I fell asleep smiling and got woken up by Grandma Wu knocking at midnight. Time to get up, eat something, and head to the market. I jumped out of bed ready to work. Grandma Wu had made porridge with the leftover buns and pickled vegetables. I told her she didn't need to wake up early for me. She said old people don't sleep much anyway. I couldn't win. We set up at the morning market with the vegetables and mudfish. Then I headed to the wholesale market for loading work. A group of guys were already waiting for jobs. I asked one middle-aged man about the work. He looked at my shabby clothes, realized I was competition, and immediately tried to get rid of me. This work is too hard for a kid like you. Why don't you go deliver food? Delivery guys make 10, 20, even 30,000 yuan a month. 30,000? My eyeballs nearly popped out. But I knew delivery work required ID, and my ID situation was complicated. As in, non-existent. I'll just try loading first. A boss showed up needing 5 guys to unload 50 tons of onions. 15 yuan per ton. I did the math instantly, 150 yuan per person. Everyone rushed over, and the boss picked 5, including me and the guy who'd just tried to sabotage me. We started walking toward the trucks. Then that same guy leaned over to the boss and whispered, "Hey, the 4 of us are a team. This stranger kid will slow us down. Maybe find someone else?" The boss looked me up and down. Young face, clothes so faded they were practically transparent, then nodded at the middle-aged backstabber. "Fine, go grab someone else." That jerk shot me one last dirty look before jogging off to find his buddy. Didn't even try to hide the smugness. Just pure, unfiltered, get lost, kid, energy radiating from his eyeballs. My heart sank like a rock in a river. 2 minutes ago I had a job. Now I had nothing. Welcome to the real world, Lu Wei. Population, you, standing here like an idiot while grown men steal your opportunities because you don't have friends in the onion unloading industry. But then the boss turned to me. "Hey kid, I've got 200 boxes of cucumbers that need unloading. 1 yuan 50 per box. You want to do it solo?" My brain did the math so fast it almost caught fire. 200 boxes times 1.5 yuan equals 300 yuan. That's more than the onion crew was splitting 5 ways. Each of those guys was getting 150. I was getting 300. By myself. Yes, I can do anything. Whatever you need. I'm your guy. The other workers overheard, and I could practically see the jealousy leaking out of their ears. 300 yuan for one person? While they're splitting less among 5. The math was doing their heads in, and I was loving every second of it. Then the backstabbing uncle came trotting back with his replacement guy. He spotted me still walking with the boss, and his face twisted up like he'd bitten into a lemon made of anger. "I told you, we've got 5 guys now. We work as a team. We don't need you tagging along. You can leave." His words said, "You can leave," but his tone said, Disappear before I make you. Real tough guy energy from a man who unloads vegetables for a living. I gave him the most unbothered, oh, in human history. Just a flat, empty, couldn't care less. Oh, I wanted him to know that his existence meant absolutely nothing to me. I'm 17, and I've already beaten up a grown man on a horse cart this morning. This dude's little power trip was about as threatening as my sister's snowball. He got annoyed that I wasn't moving. Did you not hear me? I said stop following us. My fuse was lit, and about half a second from exploding when the boss glanced back casually. He's not with your crew. He's got a separate job. The look on that uncle's face was priceless. His mouth opened, closed, opened again, and then just stayed shut, like a fish that finally learned its lesson. He slunk away with his little onion gang, and I never looked at him again. Some people aren't worth the calories it takes to be angry at them. Walking to the warehouse, the boss started chatting with me. First time looking for work out here, I nodded, still buzzing from almost losing the job and then accidentally getting a better one. He smiled. When I was your age, I was out here scrambling too. People gave me a hard time constantly. Got treated like garbage more times than I can count. You used to do this kind of work? I was genuinely shocked. This guy owned warehouses. He was a boss. Multiple trucks, a wholesale operation, employees. In my world, this man was basically a king. He laughed. What? I don't look the type. I almost ended up sleeping under a bridge at my lowest point. Spent years grinding before I built this business up. It's not much, but it keeps the lights on. Not much? Sir, you have more lights than anyone I've ever met. I'm Lu Yi, he said. Just call me Brother Lu. What's your name? Lu Wei. His head snapped toward me. Lu Wei? Which Lu? The one that means land. Like continent. Oh, thank God. Different character. For a second I thought you were trying to be my cousin. My second uncle is named Lu Wei too. He laughed and relaxed. All right, let's exchange contact info. I'll call you when there's more work. Here came the moment I was dreading. Brother Lu, I don't have a phone. He stared at me like I'd said, I don't have bones. But unlike the restaurant manager who threw me out, this guy just nodded and moved on. No judgment. No interrogation. Just acceptance. I liked him immediately. We reached a truck packed floor to ceiling with boxes of cucumbers. Brother Lu explained the job. Unload the boxes, use a pallet jack to wheel them into the cold storage warehouse, stack them neatly. Simple enough. Then he added something unexpected. Take your time. If it's too much, hire a helper and split the pay however you want. He was basically telling me I could subcontract the work, pay someone else less, and keep the difference. A business lesson disguised as casual advice. But my thick skull completely missed the hint. Don't worry, Brother Lu. I'll finish it all myself. Every single box. He probably thought I was either incredibly determined or incredibly stupid. Maybe both. He showed me how to operate the pallet jack, which turned out to be pretty simple. You pump the handle, the forks go up, you pull, things move. Not exactly rocket science. Each box of cucumbers weighed about 50 gene. Most people would carry one at a time, like normal human beings. I grabbed two and stacked them like they were pillows. 50 gene per arm, 100 gene total, walking to the warehouse like it was a casual Sunday stroll. Here's the thing about growing up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. You develop strength that city people can't comprehend. I've been hauling water, chopping wood, carrying grain, and wrestling my psychotic little sister since I could walk. 100 gene of cucumbers is basically a warm-up exercise. The first few trips were slow because I was learning the pallet jack and figuring out the warehouse layout. But once I got the rhythm down, I turned into a machine. Load, push, stack, run back, repeat. No breaks, no complaints. Just pure agricultural horsepower applied to the noble art of cucumber relocation. After a while, though, I realized something. The bottleneck wasn't my strength, it was the tiny pallet jack. I could only fit 5 boxes per trip, and most of my time was spent running back and forth like a headless chicken. I wiped the sweat off my face and shouted across the warehouse. Brother Lu, you got a bigger pallet jack? This little one's too slow. He looked up from his accounting notebook, glanced at the truck, and did a double take. I'd already unloaded nearly half the vehicle. Boxes stacked perfectly in the cold storage like I'd been doing this for years. His eyebrows went up. I could tell he was impressed, but trying not to show it. This quiet kid in the ragged clothes who doesn't own a phone was working faster than most of his regulars. There's an extended one in the corner of the warehouse. Go try it. Careful though, it's heavy. I found the big boy. This thing was a beast. I could fit over a dozen boxes on it per trip. The efficiency jumped through the roof. Instead of jogging back and forth like a confused puppy, I was now making massive deliveries each round. The remaining cucumbers started disappearing from that truck like magic. 300 yuan, here I come. No team needed. No backstabbing uncles. Just me, my farm boy muscles, and a very large pallet jack. 10 boxes per trip. 500 Gene. I was pulling that pallet jack like it owed me money, jogging the whole way. The big pallet jack was a game changer. What should have taken hours took me about 60 minutes. 200 boxes of cucumbers, unloaded and stacked perfectly in the cold storage. Done. Finished. One-man army. Brother Lou walked over, looked at the neat rows of boxes, looked at the empty truck, looked at me standing there barely even breathing hard, and pulled out 400 yuan. I grabbed 3 bills and pushed one back. Brother Lou, this is too much. The job was 300. The extra 100 is a bonus. You did great work. I'll definitely hire you again. I can't take extra money for just doing my job properly. That's not right. He gave me this look like I was the strangest creature he'd ever encountered. Kid, I'm a boss. When I give money out, it doesn't come back. That's how it works. Take it. I tried refusing 2 more times, but he practically shoved it into my hands. So I took it. 400 yuan. In 1 hour. Back home, my family could live on this for months. My fingers were trembling as I held those red 100 yuan bills. I'd never even seen money that looked like this before. In 1988, our biggest bill is 10 yuan. These things were like holding little rectangles of pure magic. I stuffed the money away before I could stare at it any longer and look suspicious. Then I spotted something in the corner of the warehouse. A pile of rotting vegetables waiting to be thrown out. Brother Lou, want me to get rid of those bad vegetables for you? His eyes lit up. Not because the task was important, but because I'd volunteered without being asked. I could tell he was mentally filing me under. Good kid, keep around. Sure, load them in crates and drag them out with the pallet jack. I got to work immediately, secretly hoping to find some salvageable produce in the pile. No luck. Everything was genuinely rotten this time. Mushy, brown, stinking. Even I have standards, and those standards are admittedly very low considering I feed my family garbage vegetables from the future. Just as I was finishing up, Brother Lou dragged over several more crates. Throw these out too. I looked inside and froze. Beautiful, green, fresh-looking leeks. Bundles of them, neat and pretty. My brain short-circuited. Wait, these look perfectly fine. Why are you throwing them away? He peeled back the top layer and showed me. The tips were slightly yellow, and some leaves in the middle had gone soft. For wholesale, where buyers demand perfection, these were unsellable. Nobody in the supply chain wants to deal with imperfect leeks when perfect ones exist. But for regular people buying dinner ingredients, these were absolutely fine. Better than fine. These were premium compared to anything available in 1988. My business brain activated like a rocket engine. Brother Lou, you don't have time to sell these, but I do. Let me buy them from you cheap. He waved his hand. Just take them. Free. No way. If I take them free this time, how am I supposed to ask for more next time? I want to do this regularly. Every time you have vegetables that aren't perfect enough for wholesale, save them for me. I'll buy them all. This was my light bulb moment. Why was I crawling around garbage piles fighting elderly people for bruised tomatoes when I could get almost fresh vegetables directly from a warehouse owner at rock-bottom prices? This was supply chain optimization. This was vertical integration. This was me, a kid with an elementary school education, accidentally inventing discount grocery logistics. Brother Lou thought about it. Good leeks wholesale for 80 fun per gene. This quality, 20 fun at most. There's maybe 200 gene here. It's barely worth counting. I don't care about the price. I care about the relationship. Let me pay. He laughed and gave up arguing. Fine. I'll save the reject vegetables for you going forward. I'll call you when there's a batch ready. Saves me the hassle of disposal anyway. Then he paused. All right. You don't have a phone. He disappeared into his office and came back holding a used smartphone. Here, take this. It's my old one. Just needs a charger. I stared at that phone like he was handing me a spaceship. A phone. The magical device that everyone in 2025 carries. The thing that takes pictures and plays television and makes calls. The reason I got kicked out of the restaurant job. And this man was just giving me one. Brother Lou, I absolutely cannot accept this. It's too valuable. Valuable? It's collecting dust in a drawer. If I sold it to a junk dealer, I'd get maybe enough for a plastic basin. Would you rather a recycler have it, or someone who actually needs it? I opened my mouth to refuse again, but he cut me off. Take the phone. Stop arguing. You're making this weird. I accepted it with both hands, bowing slightly. Thank you, Brother Lou. Whenever you need me, I'm there, day or night. Just call. He laughed and waved me off. This guy was something special. Young, successful, but still remembered what it felt like to be broke and desperate. He told me earlier he almost slept under a bridge. Now he runs a warehouse empire. And instead of looking down on struggling kids, he hands them phones and bonus money. The world needs more Brother Lou's. I hauled the leaks back to my rented room, disposed of the actual garbage, and checked the time. Still early. Perfect. Back to the market for more work. I ran into the backstabbing uncle from earlier. He saw me, and his face twisted into the most beautiful expression of jealousy I've ever witnessed. He'd kicked me off the onion job, so I wouldn't steal his 150 yuan. Instead, I'd made 400 on the cucumber job alone. His little sabotage scheme had literally doubled my income. I wanted to send him a thank you card. Another job came in, unloading potatoes with a 5-man crew. 2 hours of work, 150 yuan each. Easy money when you've got farm muscles and zero quit in you. After that, the morning rush died down and workers scattered to find second jobs elsewhere. I waited around hoping for more, but nothing came. So I switched to my other profession, professional garbage vegetable collector. The morning market had tons of discarded produce. Whole crates and bags of it, barely touched. And unlike the afternoon crowd of competitive grandparents, almost nobody was picking through the morning stuff. I had the whole garbage buffet to myself. This time I was strategic. No more grabbing everything like a crazed raccoon. Only common vegetables that I knew would sell in 1988. Cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes, the usual suspects. No weird future fruits that would blow my cover story. Without the tricycle, I had to carry everything on foot. Load up my arms, sprint to the room, dump it, sprint back. Over and over. My legs were burning, but my wallet didn't care about my legs. When the garbage trucks finally arrived and swept away everything remaining, I stood there catching my breath, slightly heartbroken watching perfectly good vegetables get crushed into a truck. Every smashed cabbage felt like a personal loss. But I grabbed enough for another massive selling day. I did the mental accounting. 400 from cucumbers, 150 from potatoes. Free leaks worth a fortune in 1988. A phone, and bags full of scavenged vegetables ready for time-traveling resale. Not bad for a kid who woke up in a mud house yesterday wondering if his family could afford New Year dinner. I rushed to the morning market to find Grandma Wu, and from a distance I saw a crowd around her stall. My stomach dropped. I thought something bad had happened. Maybe someone was giving her trouble. Maybe she'd fallen. I pushed through the crowd ready to throw hands if necessary. Turns out it was just capitalism working perfectly. Business was booming. Her stall was surrounded by eager customers grabbing vegetables like the apocalypse was tomorrow and salad was the only currency. Grandma Wu was weighing, bagging, collecting money, and making change all by herself, sweat beading on her forehead despite the cool morning air. I dove in immediately. No announcement, no questions, just started working. Weigh, bag, collect, change. We fell into a rhythm like we'd been business partners for decades instead of two strangers who met yesterday, because I helped push her garbage cart. Grandma, why is it so crazy today? I asked while stuffing cucumbers into a bag for some old guy. She beamed at me like reinforcements had arrived at the last second before the castle fell. Because it's cheap. Morning market people want bargains. Our vegetables look fine and cost half what everyone else charges. Of course they're going crazy. She was right. The morning crowd was mostly elderly folks from the neighborhood, the kind of people who will walk an extra mile to save 2 cents on green onions. When they saw decent-looking vegetables at half price, their brains basically short-circuited with joy. Even if they couldn't eat everything today, they'd buy extra because not buying felt like losing money. That's old people shopping logic, and it's universal across all timelines apparently. Plus, I'd been smart about selecting these vegetables. I picked out the best of the garbage, stuff that was only slightly wilted, barely distinguishable from fresh produce. Mixed in with regular market vegetables, nobody would ever guess these came from a 2025 trash heap. We worked together until the rush died down. What remained on the stall was the truly ugly stuff. Vegetables even bargain hunters rejected. I told Grandma Wu to pack up and go home. She wanted to keep selling, but I could see she was exhausted. She'd been standing since before dawn, and her legs were probably screaming. Walking home, she asked about my morning. I told her about the cucumber unloading job, 300 yuan plus a 100 yuan bonus from Brother Lu, and a free phone. Her face lit up brighter than sunrise. See? I knew it. Good kids like you always land on their feet. I got all embarrassed and mumbled something humble, but honestly, yeah, I was feeling pretty incredible. Yesterday, I had 3 yuan. Today, I had more money than my family sees in half a year. The trajectory was looking vertical. When I mentioned the phone, Grandma Wu's eyes sparkled with grandmotherly purpose. A phone without a SIM card is just a fancy brick. Come on, I'm taking you to get one. She used her own ID card to register a phone number for me. The shop clerk, patient saint that he was, taught me how to download apps and set up something called WeChat. When he told me this app could let you see someone's face while talking to them from thousands of miles away, my brain nearly exploded. Video calling. In your pocket. My village doesn't even have reliable mail service, and these people are doing face-to-face conversations through a rectangle. I made a test video call to Grandma Wu. She was standing right next to me, but when her smiling face popped up on that little screen, I just stood there holding the phone with my mouth open. I looked at the screen. I looked at real Grandma Wu. Back at the screen. Back at her. This world wasn't just different from mine. It was a completely separate reality. A different planet wearing the same geography. I called Brother Lu next and gave him my number. My contact list now had 2 whole people in it. I was basically a social butterfly. On the walk home, Grandma Wu reported the morning sales. The mudfish sold out instantly. Wild-caught mudfish at reasonable prices was apparently like selling gold bars at a flea market. The vegetables mostly sold too, all at 1 yuan per gene. Between the fish and the produce, we'd had a very profitable morning. Not bad for merchandise that cost exactly 0 yuan to acquire. Then we walked into the courtyard, and my entire world tilted sideways. A young woman stepped out of the east side room. Maybe 25 or 26 years old. Tall, about 5'7". Slim, elegant, with a face so perfectly shaped it looked sculpted. Porcelain skin. Clear, intelligent eyes behind thin-framed glasses. Long wavy hair falling casually over her shoulders. She wore a fitted black shirt under a tailored trench coat with black pants. The kind of outfit that screams, I have a career and it pays well. She looked like she'd accidentally wandered into this courtyard from a completely different social class. Like a CEO who took a wrong turn and ended up in a rental property yard. But that's not why I was staring. I was staring because she looked familiar. Hauntingly, impossibly familiar. Something about her face triggered a memory buried so deep I couldn't quite reach it. Like seeing a ghost of someone you know, but the details are all wrong. Then it hit me. She looked like her. The girl I'd had a crush on. The one whose father laughed our matchmaker out of the house. Lan Chunyan. But the math didn't work. If Lan Chunyan existed in 2025, she'd be in her 50s. This woman was mid-20s. Which meant she could be Lan Chunyan's daughter. The thought that Lan Chunyan had married someone else and had a daughter made my chest feel like someone was sitting on it. I know it's irrational. She rejected me. She had every right to marry whoever she wanted. But knowing it intellectually and seeing her possible offspring standing 10 feet away were very different experiences. Weiwei, heading to work? Grandma Wu called out cheerfully. The woman, Lan Weiwei, smiled politely. Yes, good morning, Grandma Wu. Let me introduce you. This is Lu Wei. He just moved in across from you. Great kid. You two should look out for each other. Lan Weiwei glanced at me. I saw her eyes scan my dirty, worn-out clothes and dusty face. Her expression didn't change, but I could feel the assessment happening. Manual laborer. Different world. Zero relevance to her life. And this creepy guy had been staring at her without blinking for about 30 straight seconds. Hello, she said with the warmth of a professionally courteous refrigerator. Huh? Oh, hi. Hello. Yes, smooth, Lu Wei. Really smooth. For words, and you used 3 of them to say the same thing. She left without another glance, walking toward the bus stop like I was a lamppost she'd already forgotten about. Stop staring. She's gone. Grandma Wu chuckled behind me. She's pretty, but that girl's standards are sky high. Not for people like us. When you're ready for a wife, Grandma will find you someone practical. Someone who knows how to live a real life. My face burned red. I pushed the tricycle into the courtyard as fast as possible, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. Was Lan Weiwei actually related to Lan Chunyan? Was she her daughter? And why did seeing her make my heart feel like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand? Back at Grandma Wu's, she laid out every coin and bill from the morning sales like a proud accountant presenting quarterly results. Mudfish, 8 Jin, 160 yuan. Vegetables, 123 yuan. Total, 283 yuan. Here you go. I took the money, counted out exactly half, and held it out to her. Grandma, we agreed. 50-50. You were out there since before sunrise. I'm not letting you work for free. She pushed my hand away gently, smiling that warm, wrinkly smile that somehow made everything feel okay. Sweet boy, your willingness to share means more to me than any amount of money. I don't need 100 yuan. What I need is someone to talk to. Someone who'll check on me when I'm sick. Someone who'll make sure I don't die alone in this room with nobody noticing for a week. She patted my hand. If you really want to repay me, just visit often. Chat with me. Run errands. That's worth more than gold. Something in my chest cracked open. This woman took in a complete stranger, gave him a roof, fed him, helped him sell vegetables, used her own ID to get him a phone, and all she wanted in return was company. In a world of backstabbing onion workers and gossiping neighbors, Grandma Wu was the realest person I'd ever met. Grandma, from today forward, you're my real grandmother. If it wasn't for you, I'd still be starving under a bridge. Whatever you need, shopping, errands, heavy lifting, anything, just say the word. Treat me like your actual grandson. If I make you mad, smack me. I deserve it. I meant every syllable. No performance. No polite lies. Pure gratitude from the bottom of my farming village heart. Her eyes went red immediately. She started nodding, trying to talk, but the words kept getting stuck behind the tears. Good. Good boy. You're my grandson now. When I'm gone, this house, everything I have, it's all yours. Grandma, I know. I can make my own money. You're going to live to 100. I'm going to take care of you, not inherit your stuff. She couldn't speak anymore. She just pulled me into a hug, patting my back while tears rolled down her face. But she was smiling. The brightest, warmest smile I'd ever seen on anyone. This 70-something-year-old woman who collects bottles for exercise and owns an entire courtyard of rental properties had just adopted a time-traveling teenager from 1988. Life is absolutely bizarre, and I wouldn't change a single thing. After she calmed down, I went to my room, grabbed some vegetables and fruit, changed into my winter clothes, and teleported back to 1988. 10 hours in 2025 equaled about 25 minutes here. Still mid-morning. Perfect timing. Now, about those 25 minutes. I'd spent them in the future doing manual labor, selling produce, getting a phone, and emotionally adopting a grandmother. A very productive half hour by anyone's standards. I headed toward the food store to meet Joya. Walking through the cold streets, my mind kept drifting back to holding her hand earlier. That soft, warm, impossibly smooth hand. Just thinking about it made my heart race and my body temperature spike about 15 degrees in -30 weather. I had to shove my hands in my pockets and do some emergency breathing exercises to calm down. Being 17 is honestly a medical condition. Along the way, I spotted vendors selling frozen fish. Hairtail fish, 80 fun per jean. Mackerel, 50 fun per jean. These are basically the only seafood that reaches our remote corner of the Northeast in winter. Now, I should explain something about 1988. This year is completely insane economically. China is in the middle of a price reform experiment. Everything has two prices, the government-controlled, planned price, and the actual market price. If you have a gene of hairtail fish, would you sell it at the government rate of 40 fun or the market rate of 2 yuan? Obviously the market rate. Everyone with a brain chose the market rate. This created a whole ecosystem of corruption where officials would buy things at planned prices and resell at market prices, pocketing the difference. The government tried to fix this by announcing they'd eliminate planned pricing entirely. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong. The entire population heard prices are being deregulated and interpreted it as everything is about to get expensive forever, mass panic. People stormed every store in the country buying everything they could grab. Rice, oil, fabric, electronics. Shelves emptied overnight. Prices skyrocketed. Banks nearly collapsed because everyone withdrew their savings to fund their panic shopping sprees. The government had to slam the brakes and cancel the whole reform. So basically, prices right now are a chaotic mess with no real standard. Just roll with whatever numbers I tell you because even economists couldn't make sense of it at the time. Anyway, I started shopping. And I could not stop. Bought a board of hairtail fish, a board of mackerel, 40 gene of fish total, then peanuts, sunflower seeds, candy, popcorn, pork, beef. I was walking through that market like a man possessed, buying everything that caught my eye, stuffing it all into a giant burlap sack. The crazy thing? All of it cost less than 100 yuan. Money in 1988 stretches like taffy. My one day of vegetable sales covered all this, and then some. If I sold vegetables every day for a month, I'd make thousands. The math was making me giddy. Only annoying thing, I couldn't mix up the money from both timelines. 2025 yuan and 1988 yuan look completely different. If I accidentally paid for peanuts with a red 100 yuan bill featuring a face that won't be printed for another 30 years, things would get complicated very fast. I arrived at the food store weighed down like a pack mule. Julia had been waiting, and she was not happy. Where were you? I thought you ditched me. I grinned sheepishly. Got held up buying stuff. Where are your bags? Let me carry them. She pointed at 2 cloth bags by the wall. I grabbed one with my free hand, then swung the enormous burlap sack onto my shoulder with the other. I was now carrying approximately my own body weight in goods and looking extremely manly doing it. Or extremely stupid. Hard to tell the difference sometimes. Zhouya's eyes locked onto the giant sack. What is that? What's inside? Just some New Year supplies. New Year supplies? How much did you spend? What did you buy? She went full mom mode instantly. You just earned some money and you're already blowing it. I should have followed you around and supervised. Your mother is going to kill you when she sees this. I'm not a child. I protested for the 400th time today. I'm a grown man making grown man purchases. She looked at my bulging sack of impulse buys, then looked at me, then looked at the sack again. A grown man. A grown man did this. It wasn't even 100 yuan, I said, trying to defend my shopping spree. Zhouya's eyes nearly popped out of her skull. 100 yuan isn't a lot. Okay, so maybe I'd lost perspective. In 1988, a factory worker makes 60 to 80 yuan per month. I'd just casually blown more than a month's salary on snacks and fish like I was some kind of aristocrat. But in my defense, I'd earned several hundred yuan in a single day. My brain had recalibrated to time-traveling vegetable mogul mode and hadn't switched back to dirt poor village kid mode yet. What's done is done, I shrugged. Can't exactly return half-frozen fish. Zhouya poked my forehead again. I was starting to think she just enjoyed touching my face. Your mother is going to destroy you when she sees all this. I grabbed her hand, because apparently that's just what I do now, and grinned. Then save me. Protect me from my own mother. She tried pulling free, but I held on. Not too tight. Just enough. Let go. If someone sees us, I'm finished. And what do you expect me to do about your mother? Just take the beating. It builds character. You don't understand. My mom hits hard. Remember what I did to Sue Lawson this morning? My mom hits worse than that. She burst out laughing despite herself. You're ridiculous. She's your mother, not a professional boxer. Now let's go before we miss the cart. We grabbed everything and hustled to the pickup spot. Perfect timing. Zhang Laolu pulled up right as we arrived. On the cart were Song Xiaolan and Wang Guifeng, who happens to be the sister of my lovely neighbor Wang Guing. Her son Erlzi is my classmate and childhood buddy, so despite her sister being my sworn enemy, I couldn't really be rude. Both women stared at our mountain of purchases with their jaws somewhere near the ground. They'd each brought one small triangular bundle. I had an entire burlap sack that looked like I'd robbed a general store. Song Xiaolan gasped at Zhouya. Did you buy all of that inventory? That's enough for the whole winter. Zhouya shook her head quickly. These 2 bags are mine. That giant sack belongs to him. She pointed at me like I was evidence in a crime scene. The women's eyes swiveled to me with undisguised shock. Everyone knows my family is broke. My dad's hospital bills wiped us out. We're literally one of the poorest families in the village. And here I was with a sack of goods worth more than most families spend on an entire new year. I could see Wang Guifeng's brain working overtime. She leaned over to Song Xiaolan and whispered something behind her hand, right in front of me, like I was invisible, or deaf, or both. She probably assumed the sack was full of worthless junk, that I'd packed it with cheap garbage to look impressive. Classic, safe face, move that village kid supposedly pull. I could practically read her thoughts through her smirky little expression. I wanted to open the sack and dump 40 gene of premium fish on her lap, just to watch her face implode. But I didn't. Earlsey's my buddy. Can't humiliate his mom on a horse cart. So I swallowed my irritation, loaded everything up, and sat down. What I didn't know, what I couldn't possibly know, was that while I was in town playing businessman and holding Zhou Ya's hand, something terrible was unfolding back in the village. Su Laosan, the guy I'd kicked in the face on the horse cart that morning. He'd gone to the clinic, gotten his wounds treated, spent several yuan on medicine, and spent the entire ride home marinating in pure, concentrated hatred. He couldn't stop thinking about it. A grown man, beaten senseless by a teenager, in front of witnesses, on a horse cart. The humiliation was eating him alive like acid. He wanted revenge, but was terrified I'd just beat him up again. So he paced around his house like a caged animal, fury building with nowhere to go. Then he walked into the village shop to buy cigarettes. And there, sitting right there watching other people play cards, was my father, Lu Dehai, the man whose very existence was the root cause of Su Laosan's lifelong grudge. See, here's the backstory nobody talks about in polite company. Before my parents got married, my dad briefly dated Su Laosan's wife, Chen Yufan. And my father, blessed with the biggest mouth in 7 villages, once bragged to his friends that he'd gotten to second base with her. Because of course he did. The man can't keep a secret if you welded his lips shut. Somehow this information reached Su Laosan after he'd already married Chen Yufan. The knowledge that my father had touched his wife before him had been festering in Su Laosan's brain for years like an infected splinter. Every time he looked at my dad, all he could think was, this man's hands were on my wife. That's why he insulted me on the cart. That's why he's hated our family forever. Because my dad couldn't keep his mouth shut about something that happened before anyone was even married. So when Su Laosan saw my father sitting there, every grievance fused together into one white-hot ball of rage. Old grudge about his wife. New humiliation from getting beaten by a kid. He grabbed a shovel from the shop's yard and stormed toward my dad screaming, Lu Dehai, get out here. I'm going to kill you today. My dad was sitting inside watching cards. Broke as usual. Pockets so empty they echoed. He was just hanging around for entertainment, pretending to give strategic advice to actual players. A man of zero wealth, but unlimited opinions. When he heard his name screamed with murderous intent, he didn't ask questions. Didn't hesitate. Questions are for cowards. He walked straight outside. Su Laosan stood there holding a shovel, face covered in bandages from our morning encounter, eyes burning red. He looked like a horror movie villain who'd been through a car wash of pain. My dad didn't flinch. Former street tough, remember. Whatever you think of his bragging and his drinking, this man does not back down from a fight. Ever. In his prime, he was what villagers politely called someone who'd been around, and impolitely called a thug. Who are you yelling at? Dad growled, stepping forward like the shovel was made of cardboard. Su Laosan, still riding his rage wave, screamed, your little bastard son did this to me. I'm taking it out on you. Then he added, fatally, I already beat your son today. Everything changed. Dad's face transformed. The casual toughness vanished, replaced by something primal and terrifying. A father hearing that someone hurt his child. Nobody saw where the rock came from. 1 second Dad's hands were empty. Next second a fist-sized stone was flying through the air at Su Laosan's skull. Crack. Su Laosan dropped straight down like a puppet with cut strings. Blood poured from his head onto the white snow, spreading in a dark red circle. The shovel clattered uselessly beside him. Dad stood over him, breathing hard, voice like grinding gravel. You touch my son? I'll take your life. Auntie. Auntie. Come quick. Uncle Dehai killed someone. Clang. My mom dropped the fire poker so hard it bounced off the floor. Her face went white as the snow outside. Complete blood drain. Like someone pulled a plug. My classmate Earlsey stood at the door, gasping for air. He's at the shop. He beat Su Laosan to death. In my mother's brain, for words detonated like dynamite. Murder means execution. Her legs turned to cooked noodles. She could barely stand. But mothers don't care about functioning legs when their husband might have just committed homicide. She stumbled out the door, running through the snow toward the shop, slipping and falling twice on the icy ground. Her palms scraped raw against frozen snow. Her coat covered in white powder. She didn't care. Just kept running. Meanwhile, at the crime scene, chaos reigned. Someone go get bandages from the village chief's house. The chief isn't home. Then check the widow's place. He's definitely there. Even during medical emergencies, village gossip doesn't take breaks. Get more towels. And someone hitch a cart to fetch the barefoot doctor. Su Laosan was sitting on the ground like a broken doll, blood pouring from his head, while the village's unofficial emergency coordinator, Old Liang, pressed towels against the wound. Old Liang normally runs weddings and funerals. Today he was improvising a trauma response unit, directing villagers left and right like a general commanding troops who'd never seen a battlefield. My father sat on a woodpile nearby, staring at Su Laosan, just sitting there, calm as a lake. Two men, face to face, one bleeding profusely, one completely unbothered. Like a painting titled, Consequences, Su Laosan finally snapped back to consciousness and immediately started crying. Not from pain, from terror. He genuinely thought his skull was cracked open and he was dying. When humans get truly scared, tears just happen automatically. Sometimes other bodily functions go too, but let's not discuss that. Between sobs, he screamed, "Lu Dahai, you psycho. You tried to kill me." Dad barely glanced at him. "You deserved it. You touched my son. You came at me with a shovel. That's self-defense. Next time you go near my boy, I'll wipe out your entire family tree." Su Laosan shut up immediately. Because the terrifying thing about my father is that he wasn't exaggerating. This man is genuinely, certifiably, magnificently unhinged when it comes to protecting his family. Then Mom arrived, breathless, covered in snow, eyes wild with panic. She ran straight to Dad. "What happened? They said you killed him. How is he still alive?" Su Laosan, who was mid-sob, literally stopped crying to process what she'd just said. "Still alive?" She said that like it was inconvenient. Like his survival was a disappointing plot twist. Was she upset he wasn't dead? Dad exhaled with visible relief. "He's not dead." Su Laosan's internal monologue at this exact moment was probably something like, "These two are both completely insane." Mom demanded the full story. Dad explained. Su Laosan claimed he'd beaten me up, then came at Dad with a shovel. So Dad introduced a rock to Su Laosan's skull. The second Mom heard, "He beat your son." Something inside her snapped like a guitar string. She grabbed the shovel off the ground and charged at Su Laosan like a Viking warrior. "Su Laosan, what did you do to my son? If he has one scratch on him, I will exterminate your bloodline." Half the village had to physically restrain her. She was thrashing and screaming, teeth bared, eyes blazing. If my little sister Wenwei ever wondered where she inherited her fighting DNA, this was the answer. The apple didn't fall from the tree. The apple was launched from the tree at high velocity towards someone's face. And then, because this situation clearly needed more chaos, I showed up. I'd been riding Zhang Lao's cart into the village when I spotted Li Changhai racing past on another cart with the barefoot doctor. He yelled out the whole story as he flew by. "Dad! Su Laosan! Fight! Blood! Hospital!" I jumped off the cart and sprinted into the village. My heart was pounding because all I'd heard was that Dad got into a fight. I didn't know who won. For all I knew, Dad was the one bleeding on the ground. I rounded the corner and saw Mom swinging a shovel at Su Laosan while people held her back. My brain processed this as, Dad must be hurt. Mom is getting revenge. Pure adrenaline took over. I ran straight at Su Laosan and kicked him so hard he face-planted back into the snow. The wound on his head that they'd just gotten to stop bleeding ripped right back open. Blood everywhere again. "You didn't get enough this morning? You want more? I'll finish the job right now." Su Laosan nearly vomited from the impact. His brain was doing emergency calculations. Father hit me with a rock. Mother tried to chop me with a shovel. Son kicked my head open again. Is there a fourth family member coming? Should I check for the 7-year-old? Mom immediately dropped the shovel and grabbed me, frantically checking my body for injuries. "Son, he said he beat you. Where are you hurt? Show Mama right now." "Mom, I'm fine." "He's lying. Look at his face. I did that to him this morning." "You think that clown could beat me?" The crowd finally pieced together the full picture and started looking at Su Laosan with pure contempt. This idiot got beaten by a teenager, then tried to take revenge on the teenager's father, and got his skull caved in instead. 0 wins, 3 hospital visits, maximum humiliation. The barefoot doctor arrived, examined Su Laosan's head, and grimaced. "This cut is deep and long. Needs proper stitches. Get him to the town hospital immediately. They loaded Su Laos in onto a padded cart, and the whole convoy headed for town. Our family had to go too since we were, the ones who'd repeatedly hospitalized the man. Mom didn't want me coming along, trying to keep me out of it. But I insisted. Mom, I'm already in it. I literally started it. Better I go and know what's happening than sit home worrying. So our whole squad rolled out. Me, Mom, Dad, and Uncle Dajiang. Su Laoson's side had his wife, his older brother, and his younger brother. The younger brother, Su Laosi, kept glaring at us like he wanted to start round 4. I caught his eye and shut it down immediately. What are you staring at? Want to share a hospital room with your brother? I'll arrange it. The older brother told him to knock it off. Smart man. That older brother was Su Lauda, and he worried me way more than the younger one. Because Su Lauda is the village chief. Connected. Political. The kind of guy who fights with paperwork instead of fists. And he'd mysteriously disappeared from our group before we reached the hospital. I knew exactly where he went. The police station. He was going to report my father for assault and get him arrested. My stomach knotted up. New Year was days away. If Dad got locked up now, he'd spend the holiday in a detention cell. Our family would be destroyed. The village chief had connections at the station. This was very, very bad. I needed a plan. Fast. I grabbed Mom and whispered urgently, Su Lauda probably went to the police. You and Dad need to go report it too. Right now. Mom's face went pale. In village life, people almost never involve the police. Fights happen, people bleed, everyone moves on. But once cops get involved, someone's getting detained. And with the village chief being Su Laoson's brother, that someone would definitely be Dad. Will reporting it even help? Mom asked, voice shaking. Maybe, maybe not. But we need to get there first. Tell Dad to say Su Laoson came at him with a shovel threatening to kill him. Self-defense. Meanwhile, I'll run to Annie's house. Her husband's older brother works at the town government. He probably knows people at the police station. Mom nodded. We split up like a military squad executing a rescue operation. Mom and Dad headed for the station. Uncle Dajiang stayed with the still bleeding Su Laosan at the hospital. And I sprinted across the entire town toward my aunt's house on the south end. The town is small, but my legs were burning by the time I got there. Aunt's family was sitting around eating dinner when I burst through the door like a sweaty, panicked hurricane. Nephew, what are you doing here so late? Come in. It's freezing. My cousin Li Heng jumped up offering food. Uncle-in-law Li Guangxing asked where my parents were. I didn't have time for pleasantries. I dumped the entire story in one breathless paragraph. Dad. Su Laosan. Rock. Blood. Village chief. Police station. Possible arrest. New Year in a detention cell. Then I added the crucial line. I brought money. Whatever it costs, I can pay. I said this deliberately. Nobody likes being asked for a favor when the person asking is broke. That puts pressure on the helper to cover expenses, and even close relatives get uncomfortable. By announcing I had cash, I was telling them this wasn't charity. This was a business transaction with family discount. Uncle-in-law didn't even finish his rice. Chopsticks down, jacket on, out the door in under 30 seconds. I'm going to my brother's house. He's in the town government. He'll know people at the station. This can't wait. Annie grabbed her coat too. I'm heading to the police station to check the situation. She pointed at us boys. You two stay home. Eat dinner. Clean up. Li Heng, you're the older one. Watch your cousin. Keep the stove going. Don't let it die. I stood up. Auntie, let me come. I have the money. She patted my head like I was still 5 years old. Silly boy, your aunt is here now. You think I'd let your dad suffer? Stay put and relax. Then she vanished into the dark winter night like a woman on a mission. The house went quiet. Just me and cousin Li Heng. He immediately brightened up. Hey, want me to turn on the TV? This guy is 20 years old, supposedly getting married next year, and his first instinct during a family crisis is entertainment. I respected the commitment to normalcy. I sat there pretending to watch TV while my brain ran scenarios at maximum speed. What if Uncle-in-law's brother couldn't help? What if Su Lauda's connections were stronger? What if Dad got locked up tonight? Every minute felt like an hour. Finally, past 8 o'clock, the door opened. My parents walked in. Both upright. Both free. Both not in handcuffs. My heart crashed back into my chest with such force I almost fell off the bed. Behind them came Annie, Uncle-in-law, and Uncle Dajiang, all bringing Arctic air into the warm room. Quick, everyone by the stove. It's below -35 out there. Auntie started arranging stools. Uncle stomped his feet desperately. My toes are gone. Completely gone. I'm a man with no toes now. Cousin Li Hung jumped up to make hot tea. I squeezed in next to Dad and uncle-in-law, practically vibrating with anxiety. What happened at the station? What did they say? Uncle-in-law smiled. Actually smiled. What do you think? Standard procedure. Both sides share fault. They recommended private mediation. If nobody wants to mediate, both parties get 5 days detention. Both parties. Not just us. Su Laodao thought he could get Dad arrested while his brother walked free. Wrong. Uncle-in-law's connections had leveled the playing field. The village chief's face when he walked into the station and found us already there with our own connections must have been absolutely spectacular. Mom confirmed this with visible satisfaction. You should have seen Su Laodao's face when he saw us. Turned green. Like a cucumber. His whole plan fell apart on the spot. Everyone burst out laughing. I wished I could have witnessed that moment. The village chief, so confident in his little scheme, walking into the police station expecting to find helpless victims, instead finding my parents already seated, already represented, already protected. The shock alone was worth the whole ordeal. Uncle-in-law continued. Tomorrow there'll be a formal mediation. We'll probably have to split responsibility and pay part of Su Laosan's medical bills. Mom sighed. She understood the logic. Dad did hit the man with a rock. But paying medical bills meant spending money we absolutely didn't have. The family savings, those precious few dozen yuan earmarked for Wenhui's school fees, would be wiped out. Again, my sister's education sacrificed for adult problems. Again, Auntie noticed Mom's expression darkening and gently offered, Sister-in-law, if money's tight, just tell me how much you need. We'll figure it out. That's when I spoke up. Auntie, that won't be necessary. I have money. Every head in the room swiveled toward me simultaneously. Like synchronized owls. Auntie laughed and ruffled my hair affectionately. My precious nephew, all grown up and wanting to help. Keep your candy money, sweetheart. Adults will handle adult problems. Even Mom chuckled proudly, though she redirected the conversation to praise my earlier quick thinking about racing to the police station before Su Laodao could establish his version of events. Everyone agreed I was impressively calm and clever for a teenager. Uncle-in-law said most kids my age would have panicked. Auntie declared I was destined for greatness. The Liu family gospel, this boy will be somebody. They've been preaching it since I was born. Still no evidence. Lots of faith. While they were busy complimenting my future potential, I quietly unbuttoned my jacket, reached into the inner pocket, and pulled out a stack of cash. Without drama, without announcement, I counted out 10, great unity, 10 yuan bills and held them out to my mother. Mom, 100 yuan. For tomorrow's mediation. It should be enough. The room died. Complete silence. Mom shot up from her stool so fast it scraped across the floor. Son, where did you get this money? Every eyeball in that room was locked on the cash in my hand like I was holding a live grenade. Jaws hanging open. Brains short-circuiting. A 17-year-old from the poorest family in the village had just produced more cash than most adults earn in a month, and he was handing it over like spare change. I tucked the remaining bills back into my jacket, buttoned up, and answered with the calmness of a man who'd teleported to the future, sold garbage vegetables, unloaded cucumbers, kicked a grown man in the face, and held his crush's hand, all before lunch. I earned it. Obviously. How did you earn it? Explain. Mom was staring at me like a detective interrogating a murder suspect. Which, given today's events, wasn't far off. I had my story ready. Been rehearsing it in my head since I first sold a cucumber. I sold vegetables. I have a friend whose family runs a wholesale vegetable business. They ship from the provincial capital through our area. I asked him to drop off some produce, and I sell it at the town market. The room went silent. Every adult exchanged confused glances. On one hand, the cash was real. Can't argue with physical money. On the other hand, this was me. The quiet kid. The dropout. The boy who couldn't even wake up before noon yesterday. Suddenly, I'm an entrepreneur? Dad got serious. Like, actually serious, which almost never happens. Son, tell me the truth. Did you earn this money honestly? You didn't do anything illegal? That stung a little, but I understood. A poor kid suddenly flashing cash? Parents worry about the worst possibilities. Stealing. Gambling. Worse. I looked him dead in the eye. Dad, if you don't believe me, come to the market with me tomorrow. Watch me sell vegetables with your own eyes. Uncle Dajiang nearly fell off his stool. You're going again tomorrow? I gave him my most obvious look. Uncle, if you could make 100 yuan in one day, would you do it? He didn't even pause. Absolutely. I'd do it until I coughed up blood, then there you go. I actually felt a little frustrated. These few days before New Year are the busiest shopping season. Today was my first time, so I played it safe with small inventory. Tomorrow I'm going bigger. Mom found the hole in my story immediately. She's sharp like that. Where did you get the money to buy the vegetables in the first place? We both know you don't have startup capital. Credit. My friend fronted the goods. I pay him back after selling. Are you insane? Mom's voice hit a pitch that could shatter windows. What if nothing sold? What if you lost everything? I shrugged with a calmness I definitely did not feel internally. Then I lose it. So what? I'm 18. If I lose 100 yuan, am I going to spend my whole life unable to recover from that? I'm young. I can afford to fail. But if I succeed, we're talking about way more than 100 yuan. Uncle-in-law Li Guangxing slapped his thigh so hard it echoed. Well said. The boy is absolutely right. I fully support him. Honestly, your mother and grandmother have been saying for years that this kid would accomplish great things. I always smiled and nodded, but never truly believed it. After today, I'm convinced. This boy has something special. Big mistake admitting that in front of Annie. She grabbed his ear and twisted it like a radio dial. So you were faking it this whole time? All those years you agreed with me and Mom. You were just humoring us. OW. Let go. The children are watching. Stop. Everyone cracked up laughing. Even Mom, who'd been crying twice today, was giggling. The tension that had been suffocating our family all evening finally broke apart like ice in spring. That night, everyone slept at Annie's house. Only 2 heated beds for too many people, so uncle-in-law and cousin Li Hung went to sleep at a neighbor's place. That's just how things work out here. When guests overflow your house, you borrow a bed from next door. Nobody refuses. It's survival culture built over generations. While everyone settled in, I announced I needed the bathroom and slipped outside. But I didn't go to the outhouse. I went to 2025. Time difference magic meant it was still morning there. Grandma Wu and I had just finished the early market not long ago. I found her in her room and asked if she could help me go shopping. Shopping? For what? She studied my face with those wise old eyes. I need some stuff. Clothes, shoes, basic supplies. But I don't know where to buy things cheap around here. She scolded me lovingly for being too shy to ask directly, then led me to a bus stop. 10 minutes later, we arrived at a massive market. The place had everything: vegetables, meat, daily necessities, clothes. Prices way lower than regular stores. I looked down at my cloth shoes. After a morning of hauling 500 jin of cucumbers and sprinting back and forth across the wholesale market, my big toe was nearly poking through the fabric. These shoes had given their life in service to the vegetable empire. Time for replacements. I need shoes. Cheap ones. Socks. A shirt. Pants. Toothbrush. Toothpaste. A wash basin. A towel. I rattled off my shopping list like a soldier requesting supplies. Grandma Wu suggested buying clothes online through my phone because it would be cheaper. My brain glitched. You can buy things through a phone? She stared at me like I'd asked if water was wet. Of course you can. Even old ladies like me know about online shopping. Don't young people do it all the time? I didn't have a phone before. Nobody told me phones were also shopping malls. Well, you need to learn fast. Everything runs through phones now. We found a clothing stall. The owner spotted us and rushed over with the enthusiasm of a hungry wolf seeing 2 limping rabbits. Looking for clothes? For you or the young man? For my grandson, Grandma Wu said casually. She'd fully committed to the adopted grandson thing, and I loved it. I browsed through the racks. The clothes were trendy and modern and completely, utterly, impossibly overpriced. 40 to 50 yuan per shirt? Back home, you could buy an entire outfit for 10 yuan. A whole winter jacket for 20. These people wanted 50 yuan for a single thin shirt that wouldn't even keep you warm. Boss, you got anything cheaper? This is all way too expensive. The shop owner blinked at me like I'd spoken an alien language. Apparently young people in 2025 never ask for cheaper options. Even broke ones pretend they can afford things because admitting otherwise is embarrassing. Not me though. My dignity has a very flexible budget. These are cheap. Look at the quality. The stitching. You won't find better prices anywhere. I shook my head. Can't afford it. If there's nothing cheaper, I'll look elsewhere. I turned to leave, and the owner panicked. Wait. Over here. He pointed to a forgotten rack in the corner. Last season's styles. Leftover inventory. $9.99 or $19.99 per piece. I examined them. Still too expensive for my blood. 10 yuan for a shirt I'd wear while hauling vegetables in a timeline where nobody would see me anyway? That's highway robbery. I'll keep looking around. The owner's jaw dropped to the floor. His eyes said what his mouth couldn't. These are literally the cheapest clothes in existence, and this kid thinks they're overpriced. What does he want? Free clothes? Actually, yes. If someone was throwing away perfectly good shirts somewhere in this market, I absolutely would pick them up. I have zero shame and infinite practicality. But I kept that thought to myself. While browsing the market with Grandma Wu, something on a stall caught my eye, and my entire brain shifted into business mode. Socks. Ordinary, boring, beautiful socks. How much for these? I asked, trying to keep my voice casual while my heart was doing backflips. Good ones are 1 yuan a pair. 10 pairs for 8. Clearance bin over there is 50 yuan a pair, 10 for 4. The owner sized up my raggedy outfit and Grandma Wu's humble appearance and correctly concluded we weren't luxury shoppers. I picked up a pair and examined it carefully. These were nylon socks. The exact same kind sold in our town back in 1988 for 2 to 3 yuan per pair. My brain started sparking like a broken electrical wire. See, here's the thing most people don't realize about the 1980s. Industrial products are insanely expensive compared to 2025. China's factories are still primitive. A basic car costs 200,000 yuan. A computer costs tens of thousands. Even simple synthetic fabric costs a fortune because the manufacturing infrastructure barely exists yet. These 50 yuan socks? Back home, they're luxury items. That's not a small markup. That's a gold mine sewn into ankle-length cotton. And here's the cherry on top. It's almost New Year. In our village, wearing red socks for the holiday is a tradition as sacred as breathing. Rich families buy red underwear too. Poor families at minimum buy red socks. Everyone needs red socks. It's not optional. It's cultural law. I picked up a bundle of red ones. If I buy a few hundred pairs, what's your best price? The owner's eyebrows shot up. How many exactly? Let's start with a few hundred. If the price is right, I'll be back regularly. He pulled out 3 different grades from under the counter. Premium package, 2 yuan. Mid-range, 1 yuan. Basic bulk, 50 yuan. 4 bulk orders. He'd do 70% of listed price. Grandma Wu nearly had a heart attack when she heard, few hundred pairs. She yanked me aside and whispered frantically, "Why do you need hundreds of socks? Buy 5 pairs for the week and come back later." I leaned close to her ear. "Grandma, I want to try selling them. Set up a little stall in the evenings." Her eyes widened with understanding. "Oh, well, why didn't you say so? Stand back, grandson. Let Grandma handle the negotiation." She marched back to the counter and unleashed decades of market haggling expertise on this poor man. 50% off. Take it or we walk. Or we'll just order online. The owner looked physically wounded. "Ma'am, at that price I'd be losing money. I'd have to pay you to take them." Grandma Wu didn't blink. "Don't play games with me. I know your industry. You buy these socks by the kilogram. Each pair costs you pennies. Give me a straight answer. 50%. Yes or no?" The man's poker face crumbled like a sandcastle in a tsunami. She'd exposed his entire cost structure in one sentence. This woman wasn't just collecting bottles for exercise. She was a retired business shark disguised as a sweet old lady. "Fine. Fine. Half price. You win. Consider it a friendship discount." He waved his hand in surrender, looking like he'd just lost a war. "I bought 100 pairs of each grade. 300 pairs total. Future inventory for the greatest cross-temporal sock enterprise in human history. Then I bought myself some running shoes. 20 yuan for the ugliest pair on the rack. Last season's leftovers that nobody wanted. They looked like something designed by a committee that hated feet. But they were sturdy and comfortable and approximately 1,000,000 times better than my cloth shoes with the toe poking through. I briefly considered buying shoes in bulk to resell in 1988, but winter meant nobody would buy thin sneakers. Spring project. Filed away for later. I spotted a denim section and almost lost my mind. Jeans. In 1988, jeans are the ultimate fashion statement. Having a pair means you're basically royalty. A single pair costs 50 or 60 yuan back home, nearly a month's factory wage. Here in 2025, 20 to 30 yuan for decent ones. The profit potential made my fingers twitch, but I forced myself to walk away. Not enough capital yet. Winter means nobody's buying thin denim. Patience. Build the sock empire first. Conquer jeans later. We reached the meat section, and I picked up some pork belly to cook lunch for Grandma Wu. I'd promised her yesterday, and I always keep my promises. But when I saw the price, 15 yuan per jean, I physically flinched. Back home, pork is 2 yuan per jean. I could have bought 7 jean of 1988 pork for the price of 1 jean of 2025 pork. Before I could pay, Grandma Wu ninja scanned something with her phone, and the money just vanished from her account. Contactless payment. Witchcraft. Grandma, I said I'm buying you meat. You can't just phone zap the money away. She waved me off serenely. Save your money for your business. When you're rich and famous, you can buy me a whole pig. I also bought toothpaste, a toothbrush, a wash basin, towels, toilet paper, and various other supplies that civilized humans apparently need. Another 100 yuan evaporated. My wallet was crying. The math was brutal. I'd earned over 800 yuan between vegetable sales and loading work. After buying 300 pairs of socks, shoes, clothes, daily necessities, and market shopping, I was down to about 300. And I still owed Grandma Wu 300 for rent. Back at her house, I tried to hand over the rent money. She shut me down with grandmotherly nuclear weapons. Didn't we agree you're my grandson now? Since when does a grandson pay rent to live at his grandmother's house? Unless you were lying about the whole grandson thing. Were you just using me? She put on the most devastatingly guilt-inducing expression known to humanity. No, Grandma, of course not. I just feel bad. Then stop feeling bad and go do your work. I lost. Completely. Utterly. The 300 yuan stayed in my pocket. This woman refuses money with the same ferocity my sister uses to fight neighborhood boys. Must be a generational trait among women who adopt me. So my financial situation in 2025, a few hundred yuan cash, 300 pairs of socks ready for time-traveling resale, and a grandmother who won't let me pay for anything. Meanwhile, in 1988, I had a family crisis to resolve, a reputation as the village's most violent household to maintain, and a promise to buy my sister a television that I'd almost forgotten about. 2 timelines. 2 economies. 1 brain trying to manage both without accidentally destroying the space-time continuum or going bankrupt in either century. Grandma Wu's braised pork was so good I nearly cried. Thick, fatty, glistening chunks of meat swimming in dark sauce. I stuffed my face like a starving wolf who'd just discovered civilization. Grease running down my chin. Eyes half closed in pure ecstasy. I honestly couldn't remember the last time I'd eaten meat this good. Maybe last New Year? Maybe never? Good? Grandma Wu asked, already knowing the answer from watching me inhale food at inhuman speed. Incredible. I said this with my mouth full, because manners are for people who aren't eating the best pork of their life. She kept putting more meat in my bowl. Eat up. I can't digest much at my age. Classic grandma move. Pretending her stomach is small so the kid eats everything. I demolished 2 jean of pork practically solo. No regrets. Zero shame. Maximum satisfaction. After washing dishes, I asked Grandma Wu to teach me online shopping. She explained I'd need a bank card. Bank card requires an ID. ID requires a household registration, which I absolutely do not have. In any timeline, in any dimension, I am officially the most undocumented human being on planet Earth. Why don't you have a registration? Grandma Wu asked, genuinely puzzled. I fed her my rehearsed backstory. I think I'm from Heilongjiang province. I don't really remember. I woke up under a bridge and walked here. Everything before that is blank. Total fabrication? Mostly. But what's the alternative? Actually, Grandma, I'm from 1988 and I teleport between timelines through sheer willpower. She'd have me committed to a mental hospital before lunch. She thought it over carefully. Don't rush to the police station yet. Let me ask around first and find out the proper process for your situation. After she left, I locked myself in my room with my phone and dove headfirst into the ocean of 2025 technology. I found this app called Douyin where a nice person makes videos teaching elderly people how to use smartphones. Perfect for me, a teenager with the technological literacy of an 80-year-old. Every video blew my mind wider open. You can order food through this thing, and someone brings it to your door. You can see a doctor without leaving home, pay your water bill with a tap, ride a bus without coins. This phone wasn't a communication device. It was a magic wand shaped like a rectangle. Then, with trembling fingers, I searched the question that had been eating me alive. How does a person without household registration get an ID card? The answer almost made me jump off the bed with joy. Apparently, people like me fall under the homeless vagrant category. The process involves DNA collection, background checks to confirm I'm not a wanted criminal, and then a database search for relatives. If no family is found within 3 months, social welfare organizations can help apply for an ID card. 3 months. That's all. 3 months of patience, and I'd have legal identity in 2025. I could open a bank account, shop online, maybe even get that dishwashing job I'd originally dreamed about, though my ambitions had grown considerably since then. The key detail that made me breathe again: they wouldn't arrest me for being undocumented. They'd help me. This future world, for all its wasteful vegetable-throwing habits, actually took care of people who had nothing. Back in 1988, a person without papers was basically invisible. Here, they had entire systems designed to catch you when you fell. Feeling lighter than I had in days, I checked the time and teleported back to 1988. The temperature difference hit me like a frozen baseball bat to the face. -40 degrees after sitting in a comfortable room. My entire body clenched so hard I think my skeleton tried to escape through my skin. I sprinted back inside the house. Mom looked up from the stove. "Did you fall in the toilet?" "You were gone forever." "Stomach problems," I mumbled, diving under the warm blankets. Auntie immediately went into medical alert mode. "Upset stomach? Did you catch cold? Let me find you some medicine," I panicked. My fake bathroom excuse was about to cost me actual pills. "No, I'm fine. Let's wait until morning. If it's still bad, then I'll take medicine," she reluctantly agreed. I burrowed deeper into the blankets, grateful that my cover story hadn't escalated into a full medical intervention. Next morning, everyone headed to the hospital for the official mediation. The police mediator basically said what uncle-in-law predicted: both sides share fault equally. Medical bills split 50-50. Total was 62 yuan 40 fun. Our share, 31 yuan 20 fun. The Su family was furious but couldn't argue. The police literally said Su Lao-san was lucky he wasn't beaten to death, showing up with a shovel threatening someone's life. No compensation for emotional damages or nutrition fees or any of that nonsense. In 1988, the rule is simple. If you lost the fight, that's your problem. This is exactly why people fight so casually in our era. Getting punched costs basically nothing legally. In the future, one punch can bankrupt you with lawsuits. Progress has its downsides. While everyone was busy with mediation paperwork, I quietly disappeared. Nobody noticed because they were all focused on the legal drama. I sprinted to a hidden spot, teleported to 2025, loaded up the tricycle with vegetables I'd prepared, then teleported back with the whole cart. I came pedaling down the road toward the hospital like a one-man grocery delivery service. My cousin Li Hung spotted me first. There he is. Everyone turned and saw me rolling up on a 3-wheeled cart packed with fresh green vegetables. Bright leeks, crisp cucumbers, vibrant peppers, a mountain of color against the white snow backdrop. It looked like spring had crash-landed in the middle of December. Dad's jaw hit the ground. "Son, where did you get an entire cart of vegetables in 20 minutes? Everyone crowded around, picking up produce and examining it with wide eyes. Uncle-in-law grabbed a bunch of leeks, squinted at them, and frowned. "Nephew, did someone rip you off? These leeks aren't exactly fresh." Mom jumped in, worried. "He's right. Look how wilted they are. Did your friend scam you? Nobody's going to buy vegetables that look like this when they could buy fresh ones." Annie rushed to my defense like a protective lioness. Now, leave the boy alone. It's his first time in business. Of course he'll make some mistakes. The important thing is he had the courage to try. That already puts him ahead of most people." Uncle-in-law piled on the support by sacrificing his own son. "Exactly. Xiaowei has more initiative than Li Hung ever showed. That boy just eats and sleeps all day. He's practically becoming a pig." Cousin Li Hung stood there looking deeply betrayed by his own father. His expression said everything. "I let you sleep at the neighbor's house for this? You come back and compare me to livestock?" Nobody understood my strategy yet. They all thought I'd been cheated into buying bad produce. Little did they know, slightly wilted but perfectly edible vegetables sold at half price was literally my entire business model. The foundation of my cross-temporal commercial empire. These people were looking at my retirement plan and calling it garbage. Which, technically it was. Literal garbage from 2025. But profitable garbage. The best kind. These vegetables are exclusive, I said, trying to sound authoritative. I got them through connections. Regular people can't even access this supply chain. Dad stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Connections? What kind of connections? Enemy connections? Who looks at wilted leeks and says, yeah, I need to pull some strings for those? Uncle Dajiang was literally doubled over laughing. No, he's technically correct. Vegetables this sad really are hard to find on purpose. You'd have to specifically try to get produce this pathetic. I realized arguing was pointless. Words weren't going to convince these people. Only money talks. So I grabbed the tricycle handles and started walking toward the second store. Fine. Follow me. Watch. And prepare to eat your words along with these perfectly delicious, slightly wilted vegetables. The whole family trailed behind me like a skeptical parade. Mom, Dad, Uncle, Auntie, Uncle-in-law, Cousin Li Hung, all exchanging looks that screamed, this poor boy has lost his mind. They weren't coming to support me. They were coming to watch a train wreck. I hadn't even parked the cart when an old man came speed-walking toward me like I was giving away gold bars. Young man, you're here. I've been circling this spot for an hour hoping you'd show up. It was my very first customer from yesterday. The man was practically vibrating with excitement. His wife had apparently loved the vegetables so much she'd sent him out at dawn to wait for me like a groupie outside a concert venue. Your vegetables are better than the expensive ones in the shop. Those store cucumbers look pretty, but they're all frost damaged inside. Yours are perfect. My wife yelled at me for not buying more. She made me promise to camp out here until you arrived. Behind me, I could physically feel my family's collective jaw dropping. The skeptical parade had just witnessed customer testimony that would make any salesman weep with joy. More people gathered. Yesterday's customers returned with friends. Friends brought neighbors. Within minutes, I was surrounded by a mob of enthusiastic shoppers before I'd even unloaded the cart. Uncle Dajiang whispered in absolute bewilderment. Why are so many people buying his garbage vegetables? Do they grant immortality? A bystander overheard and laughed. Because they're cheap and good, obviously. I came late yesterday and only got scraps. Today I'm getting here early. I was already drowning in orders. 3 hands reaching for cucumbers. 5 voices shouting quantities. Money being thrust at me from every direction. 1 person, 1 scale, approximately 40 customers. The math wasn't mathing. Andy was the first to snap out of the family trance. What are you all standing there for? Your nephew is drowning. Get in there and help. Everyone lurched into action like soldiers hearing a bugle. Mom shoved through the crowd to reach me. Son, what are the prices? Tell me right now. I raised my voice above the chaos. Everything is 1 yuan per jean. All vegetables. Same price. If you miss out today, I'll be back tomorrow. The crowd surged forward. Dad's eyes went wide as understanding finally penetrated his thick skull. 1 yuan per jean. Store price was 250. Of course people were going berserk. Even he wanted to buy his own son's vegetables at that price. He sidled up to me, whispering conspiratorially like a spy exchanging secrets. Son, selling at 1 yuan. Are you actually making money? You're not losing your shirt, right? I kept weighing and counting without looking up. Dad, do I look stupid to you? Who does business to lose money? I sent Li Hung sprinting into the store to buy 2 more scales because 1 wasn't remotely sufficient. He returned with 2, and now we had 3 weighing stations operating simultaneously. Mom on 1, Uncle on another, me on the 3rd. Dad handled crowd control, which basically meant yelling at people to form lines, which they completely ignored. The cart was emptying at terrifying speed. 200 jean of leeks plus another 100-something jean of mixed vegetables, evaporating like snow in a microwave. I needed reinforcements. Mom, Dad, hold the fort. I'm getting more stock. I dumped the remaining vegetables off the cart and started pedaling away. Andy volunteered Cousin Li Hung as my assistant. Take your brother. He's useless here anyway. Li Hung jogged after me. I'm coming, little bro. I needed to ditch him. Can't exactly teleport to 2025 with a passenger. So I handed him 10 yuan about 2 blocks later. Hey, go buy a bunch of meat buns for everyone. They haven't eaten lunch. I'll handle the vegetables alone. Everything's pre-packed. I just need to load and ride back. He hesitated. You sure you don't need help carrying? Positive. Go feed the family. Quick. He took off toward the food stalls, and I pedaled furiously to a hidden alley. One mental command later. Whoosh. I was in 2025 with my tricycle, standing in the afternoon sun at the vegetable wholesale market. Perfect timing. Workers were dumping rejected produce left and right. But this time, instead of just diving into garbage piles like a raccoon, I played it smart. I intercepted a worker dumping a whole cart of beautiful cucumbers. Hey, quick question. You the boss or an employee? He was an employee. Perfect. I pitched him my business idea. I'll buy slightly damaged vegetables at 20 to 50 fen per gene, regularly, in bulk. Gave him my phone number on a handwritten note. His eyes lit up when he heard money. I'll talk to my boss. I spent the rest of the afternoon working both angles simultaneously, scavenging free vegetables from the discard piles while networking with every single person I saw throwing away produce. Some laughed in my face. Some ignored me completely, but several were genuinely interested. Every phone number I handed out was a potential supply line. Seeds planted for a future harvest. This was evolution. Phase 1 was crawling through garbage, competing with elderly people for bruised tomatoes. Phase 2 was establishing direct supplier relationships and cutting out the middleman, who, in this case, was a literal dumpster. I filled the entire tricycle, raced back to Grandma Wu's house, washed and sorted everything with military efficiency, then loaded up for the return trip. But this time, underneath all those vegetables, I tucked something extra, 300 pairs of socks. Red ones, cheap ones, fancy packaged ones. My experimental inventory for the cross-timeline textile trade. Vegetables were my bread and butter. Socks were my moonshot. If nylon socks that cost 50 fun in 2025 could sell for 2 or 3 yuan in 1988, I wasn't just a vegetable vendor anymore. I was becoming a one-man import-export corporation operating across the fourth dimension. Watch out, 1988. The sock king is coming. By the time I pedaled back with a full cart, the first batch was already gone. Every last leaf. My family was sitting on the store steps eating meat buns like a group of very confused millionaires who still couldn't believe what just happened. Dad and Uncle jumped up to help push the cart. Where'd you go? We sold out ages ago. People have been waiting. Sure enough, several loyal customers were still hovering nearby, necks craning toward my tricycle like hungry birds spotting a worm truck. I barely got the bags open before hands were grabbing at vegetables again. Then Mom opened the wrong bag. Son, why is this bag full of red socks? I took a massive bite of bun and mumbled through a mouthful of pork. Side hustle. New Year's coming. Everyone needs red socks. Figured I'd test the market. At this point, my family had witnessed enough miracles today that a teenager randomly producing 300 pairs of socks barely registered as unusual. Annie picked up a pair of the fancy packaged ones and gasped. These are gorgeous. Look at the gold embroidery. And this plastic wrapping. These must cost a fortune. Mom grabbed a mid-range pair, rubbing the fabric between her expert fingers. This thickness. This feels like those 2-3 yuan socks from the good stores. How much are you selling them for? High-end, 250. Mid-range, 150. Basic, 1 yuan. She leaned close, whispering like we were discussing state secrets. Can you actually make money at those prices? Mom. When have I ever done something stupid with money? She thought about it, realized the answer was never, at least not this week, and immediately switched into saleswoman mode. Everybody, come look. We've got New Year red socks. 3 different grades. Here's what blew my mind. I expected the cheap socks to fly off the table and the expensive ones to collect dust. Wrong. The mid-range and premium socks outsold the cheap ones by a landslide. People wanted quality red socks for New Year, not bargain bin foot covers. The 1 yuan pairs moved the slowest. In 1988, even poor people want to feel fancy when spending money on traditions. I filed this lesson away under things about human psychology that my elementary school education never covered. We sold vegetables and socks until mid-afternoon. Every vegetable gone. About half the socks sold. The crowd finally thinned out, and I told Annie's family to head home. I loaded them up with bags of fruit, apples, and vegetables. Uncle-in-law tried to refuse, but I insisted, specifically mentioning that his older brother at the town government had pulled strings at the police station for us. These fruits were a thank you gift. Relationships need maintenance. Even at 17, I understood that favors must be repaid, And the best payment is one that feels generous but costs you almost nothing because you literally picked it out of future garbage. Uncle-in-law walked away shaking his head in admiration. I overheard him tell Auntie, "That boy is going places. Smart, brave, and he knows how to treat people. Most adults aren't that thoughtful." Auntie beamed with pride. I've been saying that for years. With Auntie's family gone, I returned the tricycle and started packing up. Mom nearly tackled me when I mentioned closing the stall. Already? The money is flowing like water. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. Just 30 more minutes. Please, she'd gone from, "You're going to lose everything," to, "We can never stop selling," in approximately 4 hours. The transformation was breathtaking. My mother, who yesterday was crying because she couldn't borrow 50 yuan, was now a woman possessed by the spirit of capitalism. If I let her, she'd sell socks until the sun burned out. "Mom, it's getting dark. Winter sunset happens at like 3:30. We still have to walk home. The socks will keep until tomorrow." She reluctantly agreed because freezing to death on a dark road would somewhat undermine the day's profits. We packed everything up. Dad strapped the remaining socks to his back like a textile Santa Claus. Our squad marched homeward. Me, Dad, Mom, and Uncle Dajiang. Luckily, we flagged down an empty horse cart heading our direction after delivering lumber. Free ride home. The universe was being kind today. By the time we saw our village, it was pitch black. Grandma was already standing outside scanning the darkness like a worried lighthouse. "Finally, get inside. Get on the heated bed immediately." I kicked off my frozen shoes. They were literally stiff as boards and claimed the hottest spot on the brick bed. Prime real estate. Grandma wrapped me in the thick comforter like a human burrito while scolding everyone for staying out so late. Little sister appeared instantly, materializing beside me with supernatural speed. "Brother, did you bring me something yummy?" This child has a sixth sense for gifts. She can detect presence through walls. I'm convinced she's part bloodhound. She grabbed my frozen hands and started warming them with her tiny palms. "I'll heat you up, brother." Heart officially melted. I'm buying this gremlin the biggest television money can buy. Auntie was setting the dinner table when she casually asked why we were so late. Uncle grinned like he'd won the lottery. We were conducting major business in town. Grandma didn't even look up from ladling porridge. "You lot? Major business? Did you sell yourselves?" Because that's the only major business I can imagine. Mom couldn't contain herself anymore. "We didn't do the business. Your grandson did." Grandma's face softened immediately. "Well, if it's my grandson, then I believe it. That boy could tell me he bought the moon, and I'd start packing for the move." I sat up in my blanket cocoon. "Mom, dump out the money. I need to count it and set aside the supplier payment for tomorrow." Mom reached into her jacket's inner pocket with ceremonial reverence and extracted a cloth bundle she'd been guarding like nuclear launch codes. She untied it carefully, turned it upside down over the bed, and everything spilled out. Bills cascaded across the heated brick surface like a paper waterfall. Crumpled ones, crisp fives, wrinkled tens, scattered coins. A mountain of money spreading across Grandma's bed, filling the warm orange lamplight with the most beautiful mess any of us had ever seen. The entire room went silent. Grandma's porridge ladle froze midair. Auntie's chopsticks stopped moving. Uncle's mouth hung open with a half-chewed piece of cabbage visible inside. Even my little sister stopped bouncing and just stared at the pile with eyes the size of the moon. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed. We all just looked at that heap of crumpled bills and understood, without saying a single word, that something in our family had permanently changed. Whoa! So much money. Little sister launched herself at the bed like a tiny heat-seeking missile locked onto cash. Mom intercepted her mid-flight with one arm, yanking her sideways like a rag doll. "Back off. You'll mess up the count." Grandma was holding her porridge bowl when she saw the mountain of bills. Her chopsticks clattered to the table. Her voice cracked like thin ice. Where did all this come from?" Auntie's eyes went so wide I could see the whites all the way around. "Did you people rob a bank?" Uncle shot her a look that could curdle milk. "We did business. Legitimate vegetable commerce." "I told you already. Vegetables? What kind of vegetables make this much money?" Grandma demanded. Uncle puffed up like a peacock and launched into the full dramatic retelling. The crowd, the chaos, the 3 scales, the socks. He narrated every detail like a bard performing an epic saga, complete with hand gestures and sound effects. By the time he finished, Grandma was beaming so hard her face was basically one continuous wrinkle of joy. She patted my back repeatedly. I told everyone, my grandson would be somebody. Did anyone listen? No. Well, look at this bed, full of proof. Auntie smiled and agreed, because what else can you do when a 70-year-old prophet is being proven right in real time with physical currency? Grandma grabbed my hand with both of hers. I don't need money. I don't need anything. I just need you to find a wife and give me a great-grandson to hold before I die. Deal, I said, grinning. Next year, if someone suitable comes along, I'm locking it down immediately. And I meant it. Unlike those weirdos in 2025 who apparently avoid marriage like it's a disease, in our era, getting married is the dream. Picture this: freezing winter night, heated brick bed, warm blankets, beautiful wife snuggled against you. Anyone who says they don't want that is either lying or brain damaged.